Chapter 6087. The four of them engaged in a chaotic battle. The situation was in a stalemate. The four of them fought from Misty Lake to the shore, but there was still no winner. Xue Wuji cursed in his heart. This evil cultivation method that Lan Luochen practiced was really powerful. It was really difficult to deal with. Lan Luchen's anxiety grew even more. He was very clear that Di Baiming and the others were deliberately luring the tiger away from the mountain. Once the battle with the 10 Directions Academy ended, they would definitely send reinforcements. When that time came, it would be as difficult as the day he wanted to kill Di Baiming. He had to end the battle quickly. He gritted his teeth and suddenly took a few steps back. While Di Baiming and the other two did not react, he bit his right index finger and began to chant an obscure secret language. Not good. He must be using some secret technique. Di Baiming and the other two immediately tried to stop him, but it was too late. Lan Luchen's eyes turned from black to blue. The spiritual Qi Qilin in front of him let out a roar and turned into a set of blue armor to wear on Lan Luchen's body. The most unbelievable thing was that the space in front of them started to distort. The scene in front of them suddenly changed. They were teleported. Xue Wuji saw a mountain range not far away and blurted out, "Mount Linglong? We were teleported thousands of miles away." Lan Luochen wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth with his hand, and then revealed a cold smile. "Don't think that I don't know what you are planning. Aren't you just trying to stall for time and wait for little Nine to bring reinforcements to save you? Wishful thinking. I'll send you on your way right now." He raised his right hand, and blue spiritual power gushed out, directly dispersing the spiritual beasts of Di Baiming and the other two, and swept towards the three of them. The three of them didn't dare to force their way in, and hurriedly dodged. Almost in an instant, the three of them fell into a disadvantageous position. They didn't dare to take Lan Luchen's attack head-on, and their attacks were all blocked by the blue armor on Lan Luchen's body, so they couldn't hurt Lan Luochen in the slightest. This was not all. The faint blue light emitted from Lan Luchen's eyes would cause people's divine senses to be in a trance. Di Baiming and Xue Wuji's physiques were slightly better, but Enfeng was somewhat unable to take it. His movements began to slow down. In a moment of carelessness, he was sent flying by a palm strike from Lan Luochen. He let out a miserable cry and fell far away. It was unknown whether he was alive or dead. Without Enfeng Dibei, he still wanted to live a good life with his unfaithful daughter. He didn't want to die so early. However, they were teleported here. Even if he secretly sent a message to little sister Jiu just now, he would probably die when she arrived with her people. As time passed, Xue Wuji was also seriously injured. Only Di Baiming was left struggling. With his spiritual power decreasing and his body heavily injured, Lan Luchen's voice kept echoing in his mind. "Di Baiming, you trash. You don't deserve little Jiu at all. Other than meeting her a step earlier than me, what else can you compare to me? Go to hell. As long as you die, little Jiu will no longer be pursued by the divine devil hall. She will be reunited with her parents and will live a peaceful life with me. You should never have lived in this world. You deserve to die. Hurry up and die." Di Baiming's divine sense was in a bit of a daze. Lan Luchen's palm struck his front heart, and his entire body flew out, fiercely falling into the distance. Chapter 6088. Even if it meant eternal damnation, Lan Luchen's face was filled with joy. He only needed one more strike and Di Baiming would die without a doubt. After scheming for so long and losing so much, it was finally time for him to get what he wanted. The heavens did not let him down. At this moment, an angry shout came from the top of his head. "Lan Luochen, you are courting death." Lan Luochen looked up and saw a small dark cloud speeding over from afar. Sitting on it was Yin Chujio. Yin Chujio was worried about Di Baiming. After the situation in the 10 Directions Academy stabilized, she brought Director Zhao and the others to help Di Baiming. She felt that Director Zhao and the other spirit ship was too slow, so she summoned the small dark cloud and flew away. Director Zhao and the others looked at Yin Chujio, who was sitting on the dark cloud, and disappeared without a trace. They were dumbfounded. Were they seeing things? What was Martial Uncle Yin sitting on? Why was it similar to the dark cloud in the sky? Yin Chujio quickly rushed to the shore. Although she found traces of a fight, she did not see anyone. It was not until she received the news from Shui Wuji that she found out that they had been transported to the vicinity of Mount Linglong. Only then did she rush over. Lan Luochen ignored Yin Chujio. Right now, he only had one goal, and that was to kill Di Biming. Yin Chujio naturally would not let him have his way. She directly let Xiao Hanyo curse and release Gowei Batsao and Dehua. She used this opening to land on the ground and released all the stupid cubs and puppets. Even the grasshopper eggs were summoned. As the saying goes, raising a soldier for 1,000 days, using a soldier for a moment. Now it was time for them to put in the effort. Lan Luochen gritted his teeth. Little Jiao, I don't want to hurt you and your spiritual pets. Get out of the way. Yin Chujio would not waste her breath on him. She threw a large pile of jade talisman seals at him, wishing that she could kill him in one go. Good. Little Jiao, you forced me to do this. Your useless spiritual pets have no value to live anyway. It's good that they're dead. Lan Luochen raised his right hand as he spoke, and blue power poured out. Although the dumb cubs were extraordinary, they were still young, and they were beaten to pieces. Lan Luochen said coldly, They're just a bunch of mobs. None of you are worthy to stay by Little Nine's side. All of you can go to hell. The dumb cubs were furious, and each of them used all of their abilities to attack again. However, the difference in strength was too big. After all, even Di Biming was not Lan Luchen's match. How could they be his match? In less than an hour, the dumb cubs were beaten until they had no strength to fight back. This was because their skin was rough, and their flesh was thick. If it was an ordinary spirit beast, they would have died a long time ago. Yin Chujio was anxious and angry. Her potential was as unreliable as the crow's mouth skill. She did not know when it would be activated. Even if she was anxious, there was nothing she could do. After recuperating for a moment, a determined look flashed across Di Biming's eyes. He drank the porcelain bottle that Yin Chujio gave him in one gulp, and began to activate the secret technique. He no longer had those bones in his body. If he wanted to activate the secret technique, he would have to use up his life force as the price. As for the consequences of burning his life force, he didn't know. As long as there was a slim chance, he wasn't willing to take the risk to try this method. He still wanted to accompany Little Nine to save her parents, use 10,000 Li Hongzhuang to marry her, and accompany her to eat all the delicacies in the 3,000 continents. He didn't want to take the risk. But if he didn't do this, no one could stop Lan Luochen, and the entire divine enlightenment continent would fall into his hands. Little Nine would also lose her wings and become Lan Luchen's exclusive property. He would never allow such a thing to happen. Even if it will be beyond redemption, for Little Nine, he will fight with his life. Chapter 6089. An ice arrow. All of a sudden, Di Biming's body shone with a golden light. His ink-dyed hair had turned into snow-white silver hair. Lan Luochen stared at Di Biming maliciously. His heart moved and he said sarcastically, Are you burning your life force? TSK, you are really stupid. Do you think you can win me just like that? But this is also good. I will leave you with a complete corpse. I will let little Jiao see how old you look. She will never want to think about this ugly scene again. Yin Chujio treated him as if he was barking like a dog. She looked at Di Biming worriedly, but since things had come to this point, she didn't have the time to say anything. It was better to kill Lan Luochen first. Little Jiao, go to the back and hand him over to me. Di Biming said lightly. Although Yin Chujio was worried, she knew that she couldn't cause any more trouble at this time. She could only bring a bunch of badly bruised and stupid cuties to the back. Buttface came to Yin Chujio's side and said, Little fairy, you don't have to worry. Your holiness will definitely kill that scum. Yin Chujio didn't say anything. Her eyes were fixed on the battle situation in the distance. Lan Luochen saw Di Biming approaching step by step. He couldn't help but take 2 steps back and sneered. Di Biming, don't struggle so fearlessly. Even if you do this, you won't be my match. Today is destined to be the day you die. Di Biming stopped about 10 feet away from him. He stood quietly on the spot and looked at Lan Luochen without any warmth in his eyes. Lan Luochen subconsciously took a few steps back. He gritted his teeth and raised his right hand. The dark blue power swept towards Beiming. Beiming only raised his right hand slightly. The dark blue power actually disappeared into thin air. Lan Luochen attacked again in disbelief. This time, as soon as the faint blue power was released, it turned into nothingness. Lan Luochen gritted his teeth and directly rushed towards Beiming. He had the Qilin armor on him, and even if it was a close combat, he wasn't afraid. However, as soon as he got close to Beiming only waved his hand lightly, and the Qilin armor on Lan Luchen's body turned into dust. Lan Luochen fell heavily into the distance and spat out a mouthful of blood. Just as he was about to get up, Beiming had already arrived in front of him. He raised his right hand and slapped towards his chest. Lan Luochen wanted to escape, but he was trapped by an invisible pressure and could not move at all. He was not afraid of death, but he was unwilling. Why did he still lose in the end? Why? Tian Dao was unfair. He just wanted to find the last trace of warmth. Why couldn't he satisfy his wish? At this moment, a huge hand appeared in the void. Under the huge pressure, Beiming's feet sank deep into the soil. He could have tried his best to escape, but he did not choose to escape. Instead, he endured the huge pressure and attacked Lan Luochen. The giant hand suddenly descended and pressed Beiming's entire body under the palm. A deep pit instantly appeared on the ground. Lan Luochen was overjoyed. He looked at the unresponsive pit and laughed wildly. Beiming, accept your fate. Even if you have the ability to penetrate the heavens and earth, you can only die here in the end. Even if Beiming did not die, he could easily kill him once the giant hand left. At this moment he felt a chill in his chest. He lowered his head to take a look. He did not know when, but an ice arrow had silently pierced his heart. It seemed that Beiming's palm attack was fake. In fact, it was to shoot out this ice arrow. Chapter 60-90 Buttface's power. Lan Luchen's heart was filled with unwillingness. He hurriedly took out a medicinal pill and wanted to swallow it. However, the ice arrow exploded in his body and turned into thousands of ice crystals that invaded his internal organs. Lan Luchen's entire body was quickly covered with a layer of solid ice. He could feel the life force in his body rapidly draining away. Was he going to die? He was not willing. However, Beiming could not live either. In the end, he did not get little Jiao. In his next life, he would definitely meet little Jiao before he did. At this moment, he vaguely saw a figure rushing in front of him. It was little Jiao. Was she here to save him? The moment Yun Chujiao saw Beiming being pressed into the ground by the giant hand, her heart was torn apart. She flew over and continuously attacked the giant hand. The dumb cuties were the same. They attacked the giant hand with all their might, trying to force the giant hand back to save Beiming, who was being pressed down. Even the grasshopper egg crashed fiercely towards the giant hand. Unfortunately, the eggshell was cracked and could not force the giant hand back at all. They were like ants trying to shake a tree. They were not a match for the giant hand at all. Yun Chujiao suddenly thought of the large kitchen knife and took out the large kitchen knife to cut the giant hand. The huge hand was cut open, and a small wound appeared. Immediately, golden liquid flowed out. The huge hand was probably angered, and immediately swung its hand. Yun Chujiao was sent flying by the huge force, and directly crashed into the mountain in the distance. The huge hand lifted up from the ground, and headed towards Yun Chujiao, who had fallen to the ground. Clearly it wanted to completely kill Yun Chujiao. Lan Luochen, who still had a trace of his aura, roared at the top of his lungs, "Stop. You promised me that you wouldn't hurt her." The giant hand did not stop for even a second and charged towards Yun Chujiao. Lan Luochen was angry and anxious. The deep blue color in his eyes became deeper and deeper, and the ice on his body began to melt. When the dumb cuties saw that Yun Chujiao was sent flying by the giant hand, they were all anxious and rushed towards the direction where Yun Chujiao had fallen. At this moment, Goei Bakeo's body suddenly became huge. It flapped its huge wings and rushed towards the giant hand. Although the giant hand was huge, Buttface, who had activated its potential, did not give in. It stretched out its claws and grabbed at the giant hand. "Fuck if I, Buttface, don't show my power. You will turn the sky upside down." The giant hand clearly did not expect that Buttface would suddenly transform. It was caught by Buttface's sharp claws. Although it was not scratched, it was forced to change its direction. Goei Batsao also enlarged itself and pulled the leaves toward the giant hand. Unfortunately, this move that had worked every time in the past did not have much effect. Goei Batsao was very depressed. If it had not given 2 drops of liquid to the 2 old men, it would not have lost so much of its vitality. It was really going to die. If the little girl died, where would it find such a suitable host? Seeing how heroic Buttface and Goei Batsao were, the other dumb cubs immediately pounced on the giant hand. They knew that they had to fight to the death today. Otherwise, no one would be able to live. Dahua made up its mind. Damn it, it still wanted to marry a wife. It didn't want to die just like that. Therefore, it temporarily solidified its body. It flapped its small wings and flew up, giving the giant hand a bite. Then his teeth were crushed. This fellow was simply dumbfounded. It was a Tao Tai. A Tao Tai that could eat anything. His teeth were crushed. Fortunately, it was a temporary materialized body, and not his original body. Otherwise, he would have cried to death. Chapter 60-90 Buttface's power. Lan Luchen's heart was filled with unwillingness. He hurriedly took out a medicinal pill and wanted to swallow it. However, the ice arrow exploded in his body and turned into thousands of ice crystals that invaded his internal organs. Lan Luchen's entire body was quickly covered with a layer of solid ice. He could feel the life force in his body rapidly draining away. Was he going to die? He was not willing. However, Di Biming could not live either. In the end, he did not get little Jiao. In his next life, he would definitely meet little Jiao before he did. At this moment, he vaguely saw a figure rushing in front of him. It was little Jiao. Was she here to save him? The moment Yun Chujiao saw Di Biming being pressed into the ground by the giant hand, her heart was torn apart. She flew over and continuously attacked the giant hand. The dumb cuties were the same. They attacked the giant hand with all their might, trying to force the giant hand back to save Di Biming, who was being pressed down. Even the grasshopper egg crashed fiercely towards the giant hand. Unfortunately, the eggshell was cracked and could not force the giant hand back at all. They were like ants trying to shake a tree. They were not a match for the giant hand at all. Yun Chujiao suddenly thought of the large kitchen knife and took out the large kitchen knife to cut the giant hand. The huge hand was cut open, and a small wound appeared. Immediately, golden liquid flowed out. The huge hand was probably angered, and immediately swung its hand. Yun Chujiao was sent flying by the huge force, and directly crashed into the mountain in the distance. The huge hand lifted up from the ground, and headed towards Yun Chujiao, who had fallen to the ground. Clearly it wanted to completely kill Yun Chujiao. Lan Luochen, who still had a trace of his aura, roared at the top of his lungs, "Stop. You promised me that you wouldn't hurt her." The giant hand did not stop for even a second and charged towards Yun Chujiao. Lan Luochen was angry and anxious. The deep blue color in his eyes became deeper and deeper, and the ice on his body began to melt. When the dumb cuties saw that Yun Chujiao was sent flying by the giant hand, they were all anxious and rushed towards the direction where Yun Chujiao had fallen. At this moment, Goei Bakeo's body suddenly became huge. It flapped its huge wings and rushed towards the giant hand. Although the giant hand was huge, Buttface, who had activated its potential, did not give in. It stretched out its claws and grabbed at the giant hand. "Fuck if I, Buttface, don't show my power. You will turn the sky upside down." The giant hand clearly did not expect that Buttface would suddenly transform. It was caught by Buttface's sharp claws. Although it was not scratched, it was forced to change its direction. Goei Batsao also enlarged itself and pulled the leaves toward the giant hand. Unfortunately, this move that had worked every time in the past did not have much effect. Goei Batsao was very depressed. If it had not given 2 drops of liquid to the 2 old men, it would not have lost so much of its vitality. It was really going to die. If the little girl died, where would it find such a suitable host? Seeing how heroic Buttface and Goei Batsao were, the other dumb cubs immediately pounced on the giant hand. They knew that they had to fight to the death today. Otherwise, no one would be able to live. Dahua made up its mind. Damn it, it still wanted to marry a wife. It didn't want to die just like that. Therefore, it temporarily solidified its body. It flapped its small wings and flew up, giving the giant hand a bite. Then his teeth were crushed. This fellow was simply dumbfounded. It was a Tao Tai. A Tao Tai that could eat anything. His teeth were crushed. Fortunately, it was a temporary materialized body, and not his original body. Otherwise, he would have cried to death. Chapter 6092 had been dead for a long time. Guai Chao felt that it was most likely crazy. Why did it lose half of its life? Because it did not want to see the little girl be sad. Could it be poisoned? Yun Chujio was now completely focused on Di Biming, and did not notice the strange state of Guai Chao. Yun Chujio fed the drop of liquid in her palm to Di Biming's mouth, but she found that there was no reaction. She cut her wrist as if she was crazy and dripped the blood into Di Biming's mouth. However, the blood flowed out from the corner of Di Biming's mouth. Yun Chujio sucked a mouthful of her own blood, and placed her lips on Di Biming's mouth. She wanted to feed the blood to Di Biming, but there was no effect. Yun Chujio hugged Di Biming in a daze. No, she did not believe that her gigolo was dead just like that. He said that he would not die. He was definitely not dead. He was just asleep. Yes, he was just asleep. He had even said that he would use her 1,000 miles of red makeup to marry her. He had even said that he would protect her peace for the rest of her life. How could he abandon her? At this moment, Xue Wuji and Enfeng staggered over. The injuries on their bodies were also very serious. They had just fainted and regained consciousness. When Xue Wuji saw the scene in the pit, his head immediately buzzed. Di Biming's face was paralyzed. Enfeng's legs went limp, and he kneeled on the ground. He cried out with a heart-wrenching voice, "Your Majesty!" Enfeng spat out a mouthful of blood and fainted again. Xue Wuji could only endure the pain, and treat Enfeng. When Enfeng's condition stabilized, he looked at the bottom of the pit again. Yun Chujio's eyes did not have any focus. She was like a wooden sculpture, but 2 streams of tears were slowly dripping from the corners of her eyes. At this moment, Director Zhao and the others had arrived with reinforcements. Seeing the situation in front of them, they were all silent. The thing they did not want to see the most had happened. Di Biming seemed to have fallen, but they did not know what would happen to Lan Luochen. Director Zhao jumped into the pit and checked Di Biming's pulse. He immediately shook his head. There was no pulse. It seemed that he had been dead for a long time. He knew that it was useless to say anything now, so he didn't say anything. He just brought his people to stand guard in the surroundings. Buttface and the other dumb cuties looked at the 2 people at the bottom of the pit worriedly. Even Buttface, who was usually the most talkative, didn't know how to comfort Yun Chujio. Perhaps, only time could heal such a deep pain. Yun Chujio hugged Di Biming and did not eat, drink, or speak. After 2 hours, she cut her own arm and fed Di Biming blood. Even though the blood dripped from the corner of Di Biming's mouth to the ground, it kept repeating. The pretty boy would not die. She could definitely save him, definitely. Xue Wuji wiped his tears as he hated himself for being useless. If all of his seals were removed, perhaps the facial paralysis would not have died. Little sister Jiu would not be so sad and hurt him so much. A day and a night passed. Yun Chujio was still repeating her previous actions. Chu Feng and Zhuang Mu, who had rushed over after hearing the news, could not help but cry when they saw the situation in front of them. Chu Feng said with difficulty, "Girl, you can't go on like this. I'm sorry for your loss." Yun Chujio did not have any reaction. It was as if the only thing left in the world was the person in her arms. She only remembered one thing, and that was to save him. He must still be alive. Zhuang Mu sighed and stopped Chu Feng, who was still trying to persuade him. This hurdle could only be overcome by herself. No one could help her. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 6093 had a golden light with bloodlines. Another day passed, and the sky darkened. A full moon hung in the sky. Everyone was dead silent. Even Buttface and the others didn't make any movements. They all looked worriedly at Yun Chujio, who was still silent. Yun Chujio cut her wrist again, and dripped blood into Di Biming's mouth. Unfortunately, as usual, Blood dripped from the corner of Di Biming's mouth onto the ground. The ground beside them was already soaked in blood, but Yin Chujio did not notice it at all. At midnight, the soil that was soaked in Yin Chujio's blood was filled with strands of golden light with red bloodlines. The golden light gradually disappeared into Di Biming's body. Yin Chujio's gaze finally focused. She fixed her eyes on the scene in front of her. She did not dare to move at all, afraid that everything in front of her was an illusion. On the ground, Shuewuji and the others were also staring at this scene with their mouths agape. Their eyes could not help but be filled with anticipation. Perhaps there was still a chance. Di Biming's pale face gradually turned blood red. Yin Chujio could feel that his body had become warmer. A huge ecstasy surged in her heart. However, she did not dare to speak or move. She was afraid that this was a dream. She woke up as soon as she moved. At this moment, the golden light intensified. The dazzling light pierced everyone's eyes, and Yin Chujio was no exception. However, she felt that her hand was empty. She ignored the dazzling golden light and opened her eyes in fear. She saw Di Biming's entire body turn into nothingness in the golden light. Yin Chujio spat out a mouthful of blood. She closed her eyes and fainted. When Yin Chujio regained consciousness again, she was still at the bottom of the pit. Shuewuji and the others were waiting nervously at the side. They wanted to send Yin Chujio back to the 10 Directions Academy. But knowing her character, they did not move her in the end. Yin Chujio's eyes were blank at first. Then she suddenly sat up and looked around in panic. Where is the gigolo? Where is my gigolo? Where is he? Where did you hide him? Give him back to me. Please give him back to me. Where did you hide him? Shuewuji forced a smile and said, Little sister Jio, calm down first. Think about it. This is a good thing. I don't know where the facial paralysis went, but at least it means that he is still alive. Maybe he is hiding somewhere to recover. When he recovers, he will come to find you. Yin Chujio looked at him in a daze. Is what you said true? The gigolo just went to recover? You didn't lie to me? Why would I lie to you? That facial paralysis must have gone to recuperate. You have to take good care of yourself. Otherwise, when he comes back and sees that you've become an old woman, he might despise you. He dares. Otherwise, when he comes back and sees that I'm disobedient, he'll be angry. He'll sleep now. Maybe you'll dream of him. As Yin Chujio spoke, she lay straight at the bottom of the pit and closed her eyes. Everyone turned their heads when they saw Yin Chujio like this. They couldn't bear to look at her anymore. How was she still the lively little girl from before? She was obviously too sad and crazy. In the next few days, Yin Chujio ate when she was supposed to eat, and slept when she was supposed to sleep. However, she stayed at the bottom of the pit. It was obvious that she didn't plan to go out. The battle between the various major factions and the gods and demons had not completely ended. Chu Feng and the others could not stay here forever. Fortunately, Shuewuji and Enfeng were here. Chu Feng and the others left with a team of guards inside as they left. Chapter 6094 Destruction of the Divine Devil Temple. As time passed, news came one after another. As Lan Luochen was nowhere to be found, the Divine Devil Temple's strength was greatly weakened. After a few months of fighting, they were at a disadvantage. The Alliance of 10,000 Cities and the Ironblood Alliance were divided under the heavy pressure. They changed masters and eventually surrendered. The 10 Directions Academy, the Divine Enlightenment Academy, and the 10,000 Buddha's Sacred Temple obtained the final victory. However, when they arrived at the Divine Devil Palace, they didn't find the mysterious master of the Divine Devil Palace. The remaining higher-ups of the Divine Devil Palace had all died because of the spiritual imprint, and the Divine Devil Palace had been destroyed just like that. Everyone couldn't help but feel a little dazed. The Divine Devil Palace had existed for tens of thousands of years, but it had been destroyed just like that? Why did it feel so surreal? However, that was the truth. It was as if the Divine Devil Hall had disappeared from the Divine Enlightenment continent overnight. Even the higher-ups of the lower continents had perished almost at the same time, because of the Divine Sense imprints. The remaining small fries were nothing to be afraid of. They were quickly swallowed up by the other forces. Yin Chujio's emotions did not fluctuate much when she heard the news. Ever since Di Biming disappeared from her sight, she seemed to have lost her emotions, leaving only numbness. She ate, slept, and cultivated mechanically every day. She did not even speak a single word for a day. When Xue Wuji saw her like this, he did not know how to comfort her. He could only silently guard her safety with Enfeng. On this day, Xue Wuji sat not far from the deep pit as usual, frowning. However, rustling sounds came from the bushes. Xue Wuji's eyes turned cold. Just as he was about to make a move, he heard a sobbing voice. "Don't make a move, it's me, it's me." Xue Wuji focused his eyes and saw a dirty yellow snake crawling out from the bushes. If it didn't speak human language, it would really be no different from the lowest level demon snake. "Are you the spirit pet of the facial paralysis, the little perverted dragon?" Xue Wuji asked suspiciously. "Yeah, isn't that me? You guys are so mean. No one cares about my life. You actually threw me into the misty lake and didn't care about me. I spent a lot of effort to save my life and found you guys. If it wasn't for the contract, I really wanted to establish my own sect," the little perverted dragon said with a sad face. That day, Di Biming and the other two attacked Lan Luochen at the misty lake, and the little dragon was also sent out by Di Biming to help. Although it wasn't afraid of the water, its fighting strength in the water was greatly reduced, and because it was injured, it got separated from Di Biming and the others after a long time. By the time it swam to the shore, there was no trace of Di Biming and the others. Fortunately, the spirit pet and its master could sense each other. This feeling was affected by the distance, so the little dragon could only sense the general direction. So it set off on the road to find its master. It was already not far from the exquisite mountain, but suddenly, its cultivation level was reduced by 80 to 90%. Its body shape also changed from the majestic golden dragon to a small yellow snake. The little yellow dragon was completely dumbfounded. What kind of sin had it committed? How could it have degenerated? As its cultivation level had fallen to the bottom of the food chain, the little yellow dragon's situation became more and more difficult. It was not a long journey, but it took a few months to reach here with a slim chance of survival. Xue Wuji was stunned for a moment. Then his face revealed an ecstatic expression. He grabbed the little yellow dragon's tail and jumped into the deep pit excitedly. Little Sister Jiao, look, what is this?" Yin Chujia's eyes indifferently fell on the little yellow dragon that Xue Wuji was holding, but she did not say anything. Xue Wuji did not care much, and threw the little yellow dragon on the ground. He shook Yin Chujio and said in ecstasy, "Little Sister Jiao, this is a little yellow dragon. It's still alive, and its contract with facial paralysis is still there. It means that facial paralysis is really not dead." Chapter 6094 Destruction of the Divine Devil Temple. As time passed, news came one after another. As Lan Luochen was nowhere to be found, the Divine Devil Temple's strength was greatly weakened. After a few months of fighting, they were at a disadvantage. The Alliance of 10,000 Cities and the Ironblood Alliance were divided under the heavy pressure. They changed masters and eventually surrendered. The 10 Directions Academy, the Divine Enlightenment Academy, and the 10,000 Buddha's Sacred Temple obtained the final victory. However, when they arrived at the Divine Devil Palace, they didn't find the mysterious master of the Divine Devil Palace. The remaining higher-ups of the Divine Devil Palace had all died because of the spiritual imprint, and the Divine Devil Palace had been destroyed just like that. Everyone couldn't help but feel a little dazed. The Divine Devil Palace had existed for tens of thousands of years, but it had been destroyed just like that? Why did it feel so surreal? However, that was the truth. It was as if the Divine Devil Hall had disappeared from the Divine Enlightenment continent overnight. Even the higher-ups of the lower continents had perished almost at the same time because of the Divine Sense imprints. The remaining small fries were nothing to be afraid of. They were quickly swallowed up by the other forces. Yun Chujia's emotions did not fluctuate much when she heard the news. Ever since Di Biming disappeared from her sight, she seemed to have lost her emotions, leaving only numbness. She ate, slept, and cultivated mechanically every day. She did not even speak a single word for a day. When Xue Wuji saw her like this, he did not know how to comfort her. He could only silently guard her safety within Feng. On this day, Xue Wuji sat not far from the deep pit as usual, frowning. However, rustling sounds came from the bushes. Xue Wuji's eyes turned cold. Just as he was about to make a move, he heard a sobbing voice. "Don't make a move, it's me, it's me." Xue Wuji focused his eyes and saw a dirty yellow snake crawling out from the bushes. If it didn't speak human language, it would really be no different from the lowest level demon snake. "Are you the spirit pet of the facial paralysis, the little perverted dragon?" Xue Wuji asked suspiciously. "Yeah, isn't that me?" "You guys are so mean, no one cares about my life. You actually threw me into the misty lake and didn't care about me. I spent a lot of effort to save my life and found you guys. If it wasn't for the contract, I really wanted to establish my own sect," the little perverted dragon said with a sad face. That day, Di Biming and the other two attacked Lan Luochen at the misty lake, and the little dragon was. Although it wasn't afraid of the water, its fighting strength in the water was greatly reduced, and because it was injured, it got separated from Di Biming and the others after a long time. By the time it swam to the shore, there was no trace of Di Biming and the others. Fortunately, the spirit pet and its master could sense each other. This feeling was affected by the distance, so the little dragon could only sense the general direction. So it set off on the road to find its master. It was already not far from the exquisite mountain. But suddenly, its cultivation level was reduced by 80 to 90%. Its body shape also changed from the majestic golden dragon to a small yellow snake. The little yellow dragon was completely dumbfounded. What kind of sin had it committed? How could it have degenerated? As its cultivation level had fallen to the bottom of the food chain, the little yellow dragon's situation became more and more difficult. It was not a long journey, but it took a few months to reach here with a slim chance of survival. Xue Wuji was stunned for a moment, then his face revealed an ecstatic expression. He grabbed the little yellow dragon's tail and jumped into the deep pit excitedly. Little Sister Jiao, look, what is this?" Yun Chujia's eyes indifferently fell on the little yellow dragon that Xue Wuji was holding, but she did not say anything. Xue Wuji did not care much, and threw the little yellow dragon on the ground. He shook Yun Chujio and said in ecstasy, "Little Sister Jiao, this is a little yellow dragon. It's still alive, and its contract with facial paralysis is still there. It means that facial paralysis is really not dead. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know report so we can fix it as soon as possible." Chapter 6096 Cultivation Base. Sword Yun Chujio was shocked when she heard Xiao Hanio's words. The golden light from that day had indeed gathered in Di Biming's body from the soil. Could it really be related to the liquid flowing out of the giant hand? That liquid was most likely the blood of the temple master of the Divine Devil Temple. However, she did not know why his blood was golden. It seemed that the most important thing now was to find the temple master of the Divine Devil Temple, or find Lan Luochen. And Feng, who had been standing by the side, said suddenly, "You forgot one person." "Who?" "Su Yanran." Although many of the higher-ups of the Divine Devil Temple had died, there was no news about Su Yanran. The giant hand had attacked twice for Su Yanran. Apparently, Su Yanran was as useful to him as Lan Luochen. However, Su Yanran often disappeared for a long time, which really puzzled me. Yun Chujio and Xue Wuji looked at each other. Yes, they had forgotten about Su Yanran. However, Su Yanran was just like the temple master of the Divine Devil Temple. Her whereabouts were mysterious, and it was as difficult as climbing up to the sky to find her. Xue Wuji could not help but sigh. He thought of his unfaithful woman. The whereabouts of the unfaithful woman were also extremely mysterious. He did not know where she was at all. Previously, he had lied to him that he could meet her once his cultivation reached the level of spiritual fusion. Later, he found out that there was no such cultivation level as spiritual fusion, okay? This heartless woman clearly did not want to see him. He did not know if the unfaithful woman would change her heart and find a stepfather for Rui Air. After a moment of silence, Yun Chujio said, "No matter where the gigolo is, as long as I persevere, I will definitely be able to find him. I will ask my master and the others to send people to look for clues. The two of you will accompany me to the place where the thunderstruck stones are produced to look for the thunderstruck stones. I want to raise my cultivation level as soon as possible. Previously, Yin Chujio was worried about the pursuit of the divine devil hall, so she did not dare to rashly go to the place where the thunderstruck stones were produced. Now, she no longer had to worry so much. Moreover, she hoped that she could meet the remnants of the divine devil hall, and perhaps obtain some useful clues. In the next few months, Yin Chujio, Xue Wuji, and Feng, and a group of dumb beasts began to collect lightning strike stones from various places. Although Xue Wuji and Enfeng did not say it, they were worried in their hearts. Yin Chujio was not cultivating. She was completely putting her life on the line. Every time she went to a place where lightning strike stones were produced, she would not only absorb the power of lightning from those lightning strike stones, but she would also deliberately provoke those lightning-type demon beasts. She was wounded by the thunder-type beasts time and time again, but she did not allow them to interfere. She only wanted to absorb the power of lightning from the bodies of the thunder-type beasts. Yin Chujio worked hard to cultivate. Even if she was not struck by lightning again, Yin Chujio's cultivation base had soared to the 5th level of Shenqing realm. The three of them had visited almost all the thunderstruck rocks in the Divine Enlightenment continent before returning to the 10 Directions Academy. After returning to the 10 Directions Academy, Yin Chujio began to learn the Earth-grade alchemy and talisman-making skills from Chu Feng and Zhuang Mu. As she no longer held back, her amazing talent surprised and delighted Chu Feng and Zhuang Mu. However, looking at their precious disciple who rarely smiled, they were both surprised and worried. However, no matter what methods they used, they could not make Yin Chujio really happy, let alone return to her usual cheeky appearance. A year passed in the blink of an eye. Even though the 10 Directional Academy sent many people to scout for news, they still did not have any valuable clues. Not only did they not have any clues about debeiming, they did not even have any news about the Divine Devil Hall Master and the others. It was as if these people had disappeared into thin air. Chapter 6097 The little grasshopper broke its shell on this day. Yin Chujio's spirit beast bag finally regained some of its usual hustle and bustle, because the little grasshopper had finally broken its shell. Originally, the little grasshopper would need at least 3 years to break its shell. However, when it attacked the giant hand previously, countless cracks appeared on the eggshell. As a result, the little grasshopper gave birth prematurely. Buttface and the others looked at the skinny little bug that had crawled out of the egg and laughed uncontrollably. Previously, the 1,000-year-old corpse turtle emperor bug was more than 6 feet long, but now it was only an inch long. What are you laughing at? I became like this because I gave birth prematurely. Otherwise, I would have been 5 feet long when I was born. The little grasshopper said in embarrassment. When Buttface and the others heard the little grasshopper's words, they laughed even more happily. They were so angry that the little grasshopper almost died when it was born. Even Yin Chujio, who rarely smiled in the past year, curled the corners of her lips, but she did not stop the silly cuties from fooling around. At this moment Xiaomo, who had been quiet all this time, said, "Little girl, you have already been seriously infected by the corpse aura, right? I advise you to help me find His Majesty the Demon Emperor as soon as possible. Otherwise, you will become a walking corpse sooner or later." Yin Chujio had long forgotten about the matter of fooling Xiaomo that day. Only after hearing Xiaomo's words did she remember that there was such a thing. Therefore, she hurriedly called Xue Wuji over so that Xiaomo could identify him. Xiaomo shook his head repeatedly. "No, he's not the Demon Emperor. He doesn't have the aura of the Demon Emperor at all." Yin Chujio frowned. She had thought that Xue Wuji might be the Demon Emperor, but now it seemed that she was overthinking. She had 2 reasons for keeping Xiaomo. Firstly, she was worried that Yin Fengjin and Yilan were reincarnated from the demon race. And secondly, she was worried that Xue Wuji's background would implicate the demon race. Now after her mediation, the 10,000 Buddha Sacred Hall had released Yin Fengjin and Yilan. However, The Zen sect had been sending people to monitor their whereabouts. However, she wondered if Xue Wuji would be related to the demon race in the future. Sha Emo saw that Yin Chujio had no intention of looking for the demon emperor, so he snorted coldly. Don't you want to dissolve the corpse qi in your body? If you delay any longer, there's no hope even if you go to the demon race continent. Yin Chujio said indifferently. Of course I want to go, but there are too few clues about the demon emperor. No matter how anxious I am, there's not. If your lover was the demon emperor, you would have tried your best to find him long ago. Let me tell you, maybe your lover is on the demon continent. Yin Chujio was shocked, but she still looked indifferent. Do you think I can believe you? Believe it or not. Didn't you say that your lover turned into nothingness? The Heavenly Demon Clan has such a secret technique. Maybe your lover is from the Heavenly Demon Clan. Normally, after using this secret technique, one would be teleported back to the Demon Clan continent. Of course, it might hurt one's vitality greatly, but at least one would be able to survive. Yin Chujio was unable to determine whether Sha Emo was speaking the truth or not, but she had a glimmer of hope in her heart. Perhaps the pretty boy had really gone to the Demon Clan continent? Xue Wuji snorted coldly from the side. Little sister Jio, don't listen to this old thing's nonsense. He just wants to trick you into helping him find some demon emperor. Sha Emo also snorted coldly and said, I, Sha Emo Yi, have never disdained to lie. If you don't believe me, then forget it. Just pretend that I didn't say anything. In any case, little girl, if you don't hurry up and find the demon emperor, you will really become the legendary demon. Chapter 6098. Xue Wuji was robbed. Yin Chujio cut off the spiritual sense connection with Sha Emo and looked at Xue Wuji. Brother Wuji, do you think what Sha Emo said is true? Could the pretty boy really be from the heavenly demon race? Did he really go to the demon continent? Xue Wuji scratched his head. I don't know. Sha Emo wants to find the so-called demon emperor. He might be lying to you. Yin Chujio was silent for a long time. Even if there is a glimmer of hope, I don't want to give up. If there are still no clues after some time, I will go to the devil race continent to take a look. Xue Wuji said with a troubled expression. Little sister Jio, although the devil race can also absorb spiritual power, they mainly absorb devil qi. Your cultivation will probably drop a lot when you go to the devil race continent. Although Xue Wuji didn't say it in a subtle way, Yin Chujio understood his underlying meaning. She might not be able to protect herself when she reached the demon continent, not to mention finding clues about de-biming. Man makes the best of things, Yin Chujio said slowly and firmly. Xue Wuji couldn't say anything when he saw her like this, but he felt very bitter in his heart. He really didn't want to go to the demon continent. What if the so-called engagement was true? What if he was robbed when he arrived at the demon continent? He couldn't let that unfaithful woman down. Yin Chujio seemed to have noticed something. She glanced at Xue Wuji and said, I'll go there by myself. You and the little lunatic will stay in the divine enlightenment continent and continue to look for clues. How can I do that? Without that facial paralysis, as your elder brother, I have to protect your safety. Isn't it just the demon continent? What's so great about it? I'll accompany you to explore it. Yin Chujio didn't say anything, but she made up her mind. When the time came, she would go alone. She couldn't drag Xue Wuji down with her. If this fellow was really snatched away by some little demon, how would she have the face to meet Chi-Chi in the future? Unfortunately, the plan didn't change quickly. Before Yin Chujio could decide when to go to the demon continent, Xue Wuji was actually kidnapped. On this day, Yin Chujio was cultivating when Enfeng stumbled in. Miss Jio, something bad happened. Young Master Wuji was kidnapped by something. Yin Chujio was dumbfounded. What did you say? What do you mean by something kidnapped him? On the way to the accident site, Enfeng told them what happened. Just 15 minutes ago, when he was talking with Xue Wuji, several balls of black mist suddenly appeared in the courtyard. Before they could react, those balls of black fog wrapped around Xue Wuji and used some unknown method to disappear in an instant. Yin Chujio arrived at the courtyard where the accident. Black fog. Could it be the demon race? She immediately let Sha Emo out and asked, "Could you smell the residual aura of the demon race?" Sha Emo sniffed and his old face immediately became excited. "That's right. It is indeed the aura left behind by the demon race. Could it be that the demon race has also sent people to look for His Majesty?" Yin Chujio sneered. 10,000 years have passed. Perhaps the demon race has already re-elected the demon emperor. Why would they send people to look for the demon emperor? Sha Emo immediately rebuked angrily. "Shut up. No one can replace the position of the demon emperor in the hearts of our demon race. No one has the right to be called the demon emperor again." Yin Chujio was very convinced of Sha Mo's loyalty towards the demon emperor. This could not be described as loyalty anymore. He was just a proper brainless fan. Chapter 6099. In Feng's advice, Yin Chujio ignored the furious Sha Emo. She thought that Shui Wuji had most likely been taken away by the demons, and it was obvious that they were not after his life. Could it really have something to do with the engagement he mentioned? Was he robbed of his wife? The more Yin Chujio thought about it, the more she felt that it was more likely. Moreover, the person he was engaged to was not an ordinary person among the demons. It had been a long time since the demon race had appeared on the human continent. If not for the instigation of the higher-ups of the demon race would not have appeared on the human continent so easily. After all, if they were discovered, it might cause another great war between the human race and the demon race. It seemed that they had no choice but to go to the demon continent. However, they had to think of a way to trick Sha Emo into taking her to the demon continent willingly. Therefore, Yin Chujio gave Enfeng a subtle look. Enfeng was a qualified subordinate, so he had a little bit of comprehension ability. He nodded his head immediately. "Little lunatic, you just told me that the person who took Wu Jie's head was from the demon princess?" Enfeng nodded his head immediately. "Yes, they said that young Master Wuji was engaged to the demon princess, so they took young Master Wuji away." Sha Emo immediately snorted. "Nonsense. When the demon emperor disappeared, he wasn't married yet. Where did the princess come from?" "But that's exactly what they said. They even said that the demon emperor had already set a date for the wedding. It's the day next month." And Feng said nonsense with a serious face. Sha Emo immediately became excited. "What? Demon emperor? Could it be that His Majesty has already been welcomed back? Moreover, he has married a concubine and has a son? That's not right. Even if the demon emperor has been welcomed back, how could the princess have an engagement with that Shui Wuji? You must be talking nonsense. Young Master Wuji has a seal on his body. Perhaps he fell back then, because he was looking for the demon emperor. In order to reward him, the demon emperor might have arranged an engagement between him and the princess," Enfeng said. Enfeng felt that his ability to lie had improved by leaps and bounds. Even if he worked hard, he could catch up to Miss Jiao. Sha Emo was still a little skeptical. Yin Chujio said indifferently, "Forget it. Anyway, it's a good thing for Brother Wuji to go to the demon race to be the prince consort. Let's silently bless him. Sha Emo, don't worry. I will continue to help you find the whereabouts of the demon emperor. It's best if you can find him. It doesn't matter if you..." After saying that, Yin Chujio did not care about Sha Mo's reaction. She directly put him into the spirit beast bag and cut off the connection with his divine sense. And Feng then said in a low voice, "Ninth Miss, will he take us to the demon continent?" Yin Chujio said indifferently, "He will agree. Moreover, he will cry and beg me to go." And Feng nodded. After hesitating for a moment, he said, "Ninth Miss, logically speaking, you are the master and I am the servant. There are some words that should not be overstepped, but I still think it is necessary to say it." Yin Chujio raised her eyebrows slightly. "Just say it." And Feng then said, "Miss Jiao, I can understand your feelings. After all, your excellency is missing, and you feel bad. However, so much time has passed, and your excellency's life is not in danger. You should let yourself out of the haze. I believe that if your excellency knows that you are unhappy every day, he will definitely feel sorry for you. One day, when you are reunited, he will definitely feel extremely guilty when he sees you like this. Therefore, Ninth Miss, whether it is for your own sake or your holiness, Please open your heart and stop torturing yourself. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 6100. Buttface's good idea and Feng's words made Yin Chuzhou silent for a long time. I'm not torturing myself, but I feel that many things have lost their color. Nothing can make me feel happy. And Feng sighed. He knew that it was futile to say anything. She could only walk out by herself. Yin Chuzhou continued. You don't have to follow me to the demon continent anymore. Jinji has already ascended to the heavy cloud continent. It's time for you to marry her. After I reunite with the pretty boy, it's not too late for you to return to his side and serve him. And Feng was shocked. Miss Jiao. Yin Chuzhou waved her hand. There's no need to say anything else. What you've done is worthy of your master-servant relationship. However, you owe Jinji and yourself a lot. It's time for you to live your life well. Besides, after I go to the demon continent, the Yin family and my parents still need you to take care of them. I will entrust them to you. And Feng wanted to say something, but when he saw the determination on Yin Chuzhou's face, he could only bow respectfully. Miss Jiao, please rest assured. As long as I'm still alive, I will never let the Yin family and your parents be bullied. Yin Chuzhou nodded. Although she really wanted to visit her grandfather and her parents, she did not want them to see her current state. Even if others did not say it, she knew that her current state was very bad. She did not have any signs of life. She was like a pool of stagnant water. If they saw her, they would feel worried and would rather not see her. That night, Yin Chuzhou hugged one of Di Biming's clothes and closed her eyes as usual. Only in this way would she be able to obtain some comfort and let herself believe that Di Biming was still alive. In her half-asleep state, Yin Chuzhou vaguely saw a figure standing in front of her bed. Tears immediately flowed down her face. She did not dare to move, and did not dare to say a word. She was afraid that everything in front of her would vanish into thin air and cease to exist. The person in front of her had a head of silver hair, and was still that familiar cold face. His eyes were still filled with the familiar doting look. Little Jiao, are you blaming me? Yin Chuzhou bit her lips, and shook her head repeatedly. She wanted to say something, but her throat was blocked so badly that she could not say a word. Little Jiao, do you not believe me? Yin Chuzhou shook her head again and again. In this world, the person she trusted the most was him. How could she not believe him? Since you don't blame me and trust me, why did you torture yourself into this state? When we meet again, I hope to see you as happy as you were in the past, and not as unhappy as you were in the past. Promise me, okay? Yin Chuzhou nodded desperately with tears flowing down her face. She reached out to hold Di Biming's hand, but she suddenly woke up. So it was just a dream. Yin Chuzhou was stunned for a long time. Then she hugged Di Biming's clothes and started sobbing. Outside the primal institution, Yin Chuzhou's group of stupid Meng Yanshou were whispering to each other. Buttface, can your method really work? Meng Yanshou, who had just sneaked out of the courtyard, asked suspiciously. As long as you follow my method, the little fairy will definitely return to her happy appearance. Do you want to see her now? I'm not bragging. All of you are blockheads. Only I can draw inferences from your actions. What that little lunatic said today has clearly touched the little fairy. As long as we add fuel to the fire, this matter will definitely be done. The silly cuties felt sorry for Yin Chuzhou when they saw her like this, but there was nothing they could do to help. Therefore, they went to the hospital in a desperate situation and listened to Buttface's arrangements. Just as Buttface was feeling pleased with himself, the courtyard door was pushed open. Yin Chuzhou's slightly hoarse voice sounded. Buttface, come over here. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 6101. Living recklessly. Buttface's entire dog was in trouble. It was over. He had been exposed. He rubbed in front of Yin Chuzhou and said in a stammering manner, Little fairy, I am a dog with a lot of guts. I'm not a human. Yes, I'm not a dog. If you don't forgive me for being a dog, Please spare me this time. As he spoke, he looked at the other dumb cuties for help. Unfortunately, none of them spoke up for him. They all understood the principle of a dead fellow Taoist not dying. Especially the nightmare beast. It even added insult to injury and said, "Little fairy, I was tricked by dog too. If you want to punish it, punish it. I'm at most an accomplice." Dog 2 was so angry that it almost died. How smug it was just now was how miserable it was now. Just as it was feeling sorry for itself, Yin Chujio said in a hoarse voice, "Add a chicken drumstick every day from now on." Butt faced the other dumb cuties. She wasn't punished, but she was rewarded? The little fairy must have gone mad, right? Yin Chujio looked up at the sky, and there were sparkling tears in the corners of her eyes. Even though the dream is fake, you're right. The pretty boy would definitely not want to see me like this. Happy is a day, and unhappy is a day. Even if I cry all day long, it won't change anything. I might as well live as I please, so that he won't feel guilty and hurt in the future. Buttface immediately said eagerly, "Little fairy, you're right. No matter if you're a human or a beast, you have to be heartless. Look at me, I used to be awesome. But now that I've become like this, am I not happy too? As long as I'm alive, any difficulty is nothing." The other dumb cubs nodded in agreement. Most of them had had extremely glorious times. Now they could be said to be like a tiger that had fallen to the plains. However, they did not give up because of this. Nothing was more important than being alive. Yun Chujio wiped her tears with her hand and revealed a brilliant smile. Yes, nothing is more important than being alive. I was the one who went overboard. When the dumb-witted girls saw the long-lost smile on Yun Chujio's face, they heaved a sigh of relief in their hearts. They only felt that the haze of the past few days had been swept away. At this moment, Yun Chujio suddenly sat cross-legged on the ground. It was an epiphany. The commotion here also alarmed Chufeng and Zhuang Mu. When the two of them rushed over, Yun Chujio was still in the midst of an epiphany. It was not until dawn that Yun Chujio's body began to glow. She had actually broken through to the 7th layer of the Shunqing realm. Chufeng was so happy that he could not close his mouth. Before he and Zhuang Mu, he did not expect that their precious disciple had only used a little over a year to break through to the 7th layer of the Shunqing realm. This talent was simply too abnormal. What made him even happier was that his lively and precious disciple had returned. Chufeng and Zhuang Mu could not help but shed tears. Their hearts that had been on their minds all this time were finally at ease. Seeing the two of them like this, Yun Chujio felt very guilty in her heart. "Master, I have made you worry. I have already thought it through. I will not dwell on it in the future." "It's good that you have thought it through. As the saying goes, a lover will eventually return home. That brat will definitely return safely," Chufeng said with a gratified look. In the following period, Yun Chujio had been stabilizing her cultivation in the Academy of 10 Directions. She gradually returned to her usual lively and cheerful personality. Xiaomo thought that Yun Chujio would once again encourage him to return to the Devil's Continent. However, he found that Yun Chujio did not seem to have such a plan. Since the last time, she did not bother with him at all. Xiaomo couldn't sit still anymore. Chapter 6102 The Entrance to the Demon Continent. Xiaomo pondered over Yun Chujio and in Feng's words. Could it be that His Majesty the Demon Emperor had really returned to the Demon Continent? Or could it be that someone had the audacity to usurp the throne? No matter what the situation was, he could not stay out of it. If it was really His Majesty the Demon Emperor, he naturally had to go back and serve him well. If it was someone who usurped the throne, he would put his life on the line to make things right. With this thought in mind, Xiaomo anxiously asked Buttface to pass on a message. "Little girl, you don't have to look for His Majesty the Demon Emperor. I will bring you back to the Demon Continent now, how about it?" Yin Chujio chewed on the spirit fruit in her hand and said indifferently, "That's not very good, right? I didn't meet your conditions. How can I be so thick-skinned to follow you to the Demon Continent? No matter what, we have signed a demon god contract, so I naturally have to consider our friendship. Let's not waste any time. We will set off immediately. Otherwise, I'm afraid you will really become a demon," Xiaomo said anxiously. Yin Chujio was silent for a while and then said, "All right, you begged me. Otherwise, I wouldn't be in a hurry to go to the demon continent. After all, I'm not familiar with this place, so I'd rather be a demon in the God Enlightenment continent than a demon in the demon continent." The demon collapsed. He wanted to vent his anger, but he was afraid that Yin Chujio wouldn't go back to the demon continent with him. Therefore, he could only swallow his anger and say, all right. Even if I beg you, you can do it, right? Let's hurry up and set off. The most secure entrance to the demon continent is in the heavy cloud continent. It will take a lot of time on the way." The heavy cloud continent? Yin Chujio was a bit surprised. She thought that there would be an entrance to the God Enlightenment continent. She didn't expect that they would have to go to the heavy cloud continent. She immediately went to see Chu Feng and Zhuang Mu. She didn't mention anything about the demons, but said that she would go out to look for Di Biming. The two didn't doubt her words. They reminded her to be careful. Yin Chujio told Ding Wenru again, and then left the academy with Feng and Ding Wenru. They sped all the way to the Chongshao continent. Yin Chujio did not sigh with emotion, as she wanted to go back to the Devil's continent to find out about Di Biming. Feng wanted to follow them, but he could not dissuade Yin Chujio, so he had to part ways with her. Yin Chujio was guided by Sha Mo, but she found the direction looked familiar. Wasn't this the direction of the Qing family in the Valley of Fog? Was the so-called entrance to the Devil's continent at the back mountain of the Qing family? Back then, Qing Shaoqing of the Qing family imprisoned her father and killed her relatives for the secret of the back mountain. In the end, she couldn't find out the truth from Qing Haotian, the master of the Qing family. Could the secret of the back mountain of the Qing family be a teleportation array that could travel to and from different continents? The more Yin Chujio thought about it, the more she felt that this was the case. This was the only way to explain why Qing Si was teleported to the Qing Xian continent back then. It was no wonder that Qing Haotian kept such a shocking secret, like the entrance to the demon race continent. Naturally, he could not reveal it. Otherwise, what awaited the Qing family in the Valley of Fog would be a disaster. Yin Chujio thought about it again and again, but she still did not go to see Qing Si and the master of the Qing family. After all, the human race and the demon race were mortal enemies. If the news of her going to the demon race was spread out, it might bring unnecessary trouble to those close to her. As expected, the place that Sha Mo ultimately guided was indeed the back mountain of the Qing family. Yin Chujio's heart moved. She thought of a possibility and said to Sha Mo, "Your demon race sure has good methods. You actually planted a stronghold here." "It's not really a stronghold. It's just a way out." Sha Mo did not hide it. Anyway, the little girl was in the same boat as him, so she would not dare to tell anyone. Chapter 6103 Evil Wind. Could the people of the Qing family of the Fog Valley be demons? Yin Chujio asked in surprise. The Qing family of the Fog Valley? Are you talking about the people guarding this place? I don't know anything about the Qing family of the Fog Valley. I just know that the demon emperor was kind to this family, so this family voluntarily stayed to guard this teleportation array. Sigh. This is the blessing of His Majesty the demon emperor. If someone really dares to usurp the throne, I will kill him even at the cost of my old bones. Yin Chujio didn't pay attention to Sha Mo's chattering. She thought that the demon emperor had a good trick to make the Qing family guard this teleportation array for such a long time. Of course, as time went by, the master of the Qing family might not know that this teleportation array was the entrance to the demon continent. He just thought that it could lead to other continents. Even so, as the saying goes, having a treasure is a sin. Naturally, he would continue to keep his mouth shut. At this moment, Sha Mo said, "Let me out. I will activate the teleportation array." Yin Chujio immediately let Sha Mo out. Sha Mo turned into a cloud of black fog. She did not know how he did it, but a transparent barrier appeared in front of them. Sha Mo wanted to take the opportunity to leave Yin Chujio behind and escape back to the demon continent. However, when he thought of the contract between him and Yin Chujio, he could only give up this idea. The contract between the demon god was very overbearing. No matter how far he ran, as long as Yin Chujio thought about it, He could only die. Although the demon race was immortal and could be reincarnated in the future, he still had many things to do. Naturally, he wasn't willing to die just like that. Anyway, this little girl was not familiar with the demon continent, so he had to hope that he could help her get closer to the heavenly demon tribe and learn the supreme demonic code. By then, there would be a lot of ways for her to break the contract with the demon god. Thinking of this, Shiamo said to Hei Shinjio in a bad mood, "What are you waiting for? Hurry up and go in." Yin Chujio did not argue with him and walked into the enchantment. Shiamo followed closely behind. With a flash of light, everything returned to its original calm. The teleportation passage was filled with a biting cold wind. Shiamo was gloating in his heart. Although the wind was not fatal, it would make people feel pain, as if they were being dismembered. Since he could turn into a mist, he naturally did not feel any pain. However, that wretched girl was different. She would definitely be cut by the Sha wind and cry like a ghost. Just thinking about it was enough to vent his anger. However, he was soon disappointed. That was because he saw that wretched girl hiding in a big iron pot. She had not been cut by the Sha wind at all. Shiamo was furious. This wretched girl was really cunning. She had actually made preparations in advance. However, wasn't this big iron pot too sturdy? It could even withstand the evil wind. After an unknown amount of time, Yin Chujio and Shiamo finally felt that they were on solid ground. Yin Chujio crawled out of the big iron pot and looked around. She was surprised to find that there was a city not far away from them. It did not look much different from a human city. Shiamo hunched his back and tears streamed down his face. He muttered, "I never thought that I, Shiamo Yi, would have the day to return to the Imperial City." Imperial City? You said that the city in the distance is the Imperial City of your demon race? Yin Chujio asked in shock. Shiamo glared at her. "Watch your words. What do you mean by your Imperial City? It's our Imperial City. Since you were able to sign a demon god contract with me, you must be of the demon race. However, you can't turn into a fog. I reckon that you are a little bastard. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know report so we can fix it as soon as possible." Chapter 6104. Recognize your own identity. Shiamo saw that Yin Chujio didn't say anything and thought that she didn't dare to argue with him. So he continued, "Don't blame me for not reminding you. In our place, a hybrid demon born from the union of humans and demons, like you, has the lowest status. Even if one of your parents is a sky demon, a hybrid demon like you doesn't have much status. Therefore, from now on, you will listen to my arrangements. Otherwise, not to mention getting close to the Sky Demon clan, you might be sold as a slave. Although your appearance after the disguise is not good and your figure is shriveled, some poor demons are not picky." Ah! Shiamo was spitting when he felt a sharp pain in his spiritual sense. He could not help but scream. Yin Chujio looked at him and said indifferently, "Recognize your own identity. I am the master and you are the servant. If you continue to talk nonsense, I will kill you. Aren't you afraid that I won't help you get close to the heavenly demon clan? Aren't you afraid that you won't be able to learn the supreme demon scripture and turn into a demon?" Shiamo said furiously. Yin Chujio curled her lips. "There's something I forgot to tell you. The corpse chi in my body has long been dissolved by other methods, so you are of no use to me. I can kill you at any time." "Impossible. Other than the supreme demonic code, there's no way to dissolve the corpse chi. You must be lying to me." Shiamo roared in disbelief. Yin Chujio shrugged her shoulders. "Think what you want. However, if you make me unhappy again, I'll let you know what it means to live a life worse than death." After saying this, Yin Chujio walked towards the Imperial City. Shiamo was skeptical. He felt that Yin Chujio was most likely lying to him, but he still felt some fear in his heart. He took 2 steps forward and caught up to Yin Chujio. "Little girl, even if the corpse chi in your body has already dissipated, you are unfamiliar with the demon continent. You still have to rely on me. If you want to find Shui Wuji and your lover, you definitely can't do it without connections. How about this? You follow me back to the Sha family. I'm their ancestor. They will definitely treat me with respect. When the time comes, I'll arrange for someone to help you find them. Yin Chujio was not a fool. What was Shamo's plan? It was nothing more than to force her to break the contract with the demon god. However, what he said made sense. She was not familiar with the demon continent. Furthermore, the moment she came out of the teleportation channel, she realized that her cultivation base had decreased by quite a bit. It would not be bad if she could borrow the Sha family's power. Hence, she nodded. That's fine. However, are you sure that they are all my descendants? If they don't acknowledge me, I will punish them, Shiamo said confidently. Yin Chujio sized him up. Don't blame me for pouring cold water on you. Your cultivation level is so low now, and you haven't come back for 10,000 years. Your descendants might not acknowledge you. Shiamo snorted coldly. Although our demon race isn't as hypocritical as you humans, we still have some basic filial piety. Just follow me. Yin Chujio saw that Shiamo said so confidently, so she didn't say anything and followed him to the imperial city. Although there were guards in the imperial city, they did not check their identities. It was just that the way they looked at Yin Chujio was a little strange. Yin Chujio thought that they were acting this way because of her so-called identity as a mixed devil, but she did not take it to heart. After entering the imperial city, Shiamo sighed with emotion. It was nothing more than the passing of time and the change of people. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 6104. Recognize your own identity. Shiamo saw that Yin Chujio didn't say anything and thought that she didn't dare to argue with him. So he continued. Don't blame me for not reminding you. In our place, a hybrid demon born from the union of humans and demons like you has the lowest status. Even if one of your parents is a sky demon, a hybrid demon like you doesn't have much status. Therefore, from now on, you will listen to my arrangements. Otherwise, not to mention getting close to the Sky Demon clan, you might be sold as a slave. Although your appearance after the disguise is not good and your figure is shriveled, some poor demons are not picky. Shiamo was spitting when he felt a sharp pain in his spiritual sense. He could not help but scream. Yin Chujio looked at him and said indifferently, recognize your own identity. I am the master and you are the servant. If you continue to talk nonsense, I will kill you. Aren't you afraid that I won't help you get close to the heavenly demon clan? Aren't you afraid that you won't be able to learn the supreme demon scripture and turn into a demon? Shiamo said furiously. Yin Chujio curled her lips. There's something I forgot to tell you. The corpse chi in my body has long been dissolved by other methods, so you are of no use to me. I can kill you at any time. Impossible. Other than the supreme demonic code, there's no way to dissolve the corpse chi. You must be lying to me. Shiamo roared in disbelief. Yin Chujio shrugged her shoulders. Think what you want. However, if you make me unhappy again, I'll let you know what it means to live a life worse than death. After saying this, Yin Chujio walked towards the imperial city. Shiamo was skeptical. He felt that Yin Chujio was most likely lying to him, but he still felt some fear in his heart. He took 2 steps forward and caught up to Yin Chujio. Little girl, even if the corpse chi in your body has already dissipated, you are unfamiliar with the demon continent. You still have to rely on me. If you want to find Shui Wuji and your lover, you definitely can't do it without connections. How about this? You follow me back to the Sha family. I'm their ancestor. They will definitely treat me with respect. When the time comes, I'll arrange for someone to help you find them. Yin Chujio was not a fool. What was Shamo's plan? It was nothing more than to force her to break the contract with the demon god. However, what he said made sense. She was not familiar with the demon continent. Furthermore, the moment she came out of the teleportation channel, she realized that her cultivation base had decreased by quite a bit. It would not be bad if she could borrow the Sha family's power. Hence, she nodded. That's fine. However, are you sure that the Sha family will acknowledge? They are all my descendants. If they don't acknowledge me, I will punish them, Shiamo said confidently. Yun Chujio sized him up. Don't blame me for pouring cold water on you. Your cultivation level is so low now, and you haven't come back for 10,000 years. Your descendants might not acknowledge you. Shiamo snorted coldly. Although our demon race isn't as hypocritical as you humans, we still have some basic filial piety. Just follow me. Yun Chujio saw that Shiamo said so confidently, so she didn't say anything and followed him to the imperial city. Although there were guards in the imperial city, they did not check their identities. It was just that the way they looked at Yun Chujio was a little strange. Yun Chujio thought that they were acting this way because of her so-called identity as a mixed devil, but she did not take it to heart. After entering the imperial city, Shiamo sighed with emotion. It was nothing more than the passing of time and the change of people. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 6106. Shiamo had never thought that his family identification trip would end like this. Was he going to die like this? In a moment of panic, he remembered that he had a master. Immediately, he didn't care about his dignity anymore. He hurriedly used his spiritual sense to ask for help. Master, help! Quickly save me! Yun Chujio was so smart. She had already run far away when Shiamo went to the Sha mansion to court death. It wasn't that she was suspicious, but it was better to be careful. It was her first time in the demon continent, so it was better to be careful. Although she was far away, she still saw Shiamo being carried away by the guard like a little chick. She thought for a while, and decided to save Shiamo after all. She wasn't familiar with this place. Although Shiamo was a little stupid, at least he knew more about the demon race. Therefore she went through another alley. The guard had his back to Yun Chujio, and was about to attack Shiamo. Yun Chujio took out a rolling pin, and hit the back of his head. The guard never expected that someone would sneak attack him. He was hit hard and fell to the ground. Shiamo was about to speak when Yun Chujio put him into the spirit beast bag, and ran out of the alley. Shiamo was crying and cursing inside the spirit beast bag. These unfilial sons of mine don't recognize me. These dog servants who look down on others want to kill me. This is outrageous. Yun Chujio ran out of the alley for a few streets in one breath. When she saw that there was no movement behind her, she heaved a sigh of relief. Hearing Shiamo's cursing, she said unhappily, "All right, don't you know what it means to have someone leave? Moreover, you are so weak now. Even if they know that you are the real Shiamo Yi, they will not acknowledge you. Who would acknowledge a good-for-nothing ancestor and go back?" Shiamo. Shiamo gritted his teeth and said, "We will go to see the demon emperor. His Majesty will definitely make the decision for me. Even if I have to sacrifice my children and grandchildren, I will still take care of these ingrates." Yun Chujio did not say a word. She thought to herself, there was no devil emperor. She was the one who lied to him, all right? However, she should not provoke him now. It would be bad if he really went crazy from the stimulation. Just as Yun Chujio was thinking about it, a sharp and harsh voice came from behind her. "Miss Jio, can you think about us servants? If you have nothing to do, go out and run around. We have been looking for you for a few days, but we did not expect you to hide here in peace." Yun Chujio was shocked when she heard the name, Miss Jio. It couldn't be right. There was someone who knew her in the demon continent. Was she that famous? Although she had killed a few demons, she couldn't prove it. It didn't make sense for someone in the demon race to know her. Besides, she had already changed her appearance. How could she recognize her? However, she knew that she must have mistaken her for someone else. She turned around and saw a fierce-looking old woman walking toward her with an unfriendly expression. There were two maids following behind the old woman, and their expressions were not good. "Well, you must have mistaken me for someone else, right?" Yun Chujio said. The old woman immediately said angrily, "Miss Jio, do you think we are blind? Hurry and go back with us, or else the old madam will blame us, and we will be punished together with you." "I really don't." "Chuyua Dongshua, please return to the residence, Miss Jio." The old woman did not listen to Yun Chujio's explanation at all. and directly let the two maids carry Yin Chujio forward on her left and right. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 6106. Xiaomo had never thought that his family identification trip would end like this. Was he going to die like this? In a moment of panic, he remembered that he had a master. Immediately, he didn't care about his dignity anymore. He hurriedly used his spiritual sense to ask for help. Master, help! Quickly save me! Yin Chujio was so smart. She had already run far away when Xiaomo went to the Sha mansion to court death. It wasn't that she was suspicious, but it was better to be careful. It was her first time in the demon continent, so it was better to be careful. Although she was far away, she still saw Xiaomo being carried away by the guard like a little chick. She thought for a while, and decided to save Xiaomo after all. She wasn't familiar with this place. Although Xiaomo was a little stupid, at least he knew more about the demon race. Therefore she went through another alley. The guard had his back to Yin Chujio, and was about to attack Xiaomo. Yin Chujio took out a rolling pin, and hit the back of his head. The guard never expected that someone would sneak attack him. He was hit hard and fell to the ground. Xiaomo was about to speak when Yin Chujio put him into the spirit beast bag, and ran out of the alley. Xiaomo was crying and cursing inside the spirit beast bag. These unfilial sons of mine don't recognize me. These dog servants who look down on others want to kill me. This is outrageous. Yin Chujio ran out of the alley for a few streets in one breath. When she saw that there was no movement behind her, she heaved a sigh of relief. Hearing Xiaomo's cursing, she said unhappily, "All right, don't you know what it means to have someone leave? Moreover, you are so weak now. Even if they know that you are the real Xiaomo Yi, they will not acknowledge you. Who would acknowledge a good-for-nothing ancestor and go back?" Xiaomo. Xiaomo gritted his teeth and said, "We will go to see the demon emperor. His Majesty will definitely make the decision for me. Even if I have to sacrifice my children and grandchildren, I will still take care of these ingrates." Yin Chujio did not say a word. She thought to herself, there was no devil emperor. She was the one who lied to him, all right? However, she should not provoke him now. It would be bad if he really went crazy from the stimulation. Just as Yin Chujio was thinking about it, a sharp and harsh voice came from behind her. "Miss Jio, can you think about us servants? If you have nothing to do, go out and run around. We have been looking for you for a few days, but we did not expect you to hide here in peace." Yin Chujio was shocked when she heard the name, Miss Jio. It couldn't be right. There was someone who knew her in the demon continent. Was she that famous? Although she had killed a few demons, she couldn't prove it. It didn't make sense for someone in the demon race to know her. Besides, she had already changed her appearance. How could she recognize her? However, she knew that she must have mistaken her for someone else. She turned around and saw a fierce-looking old woman walking toward her with an unfriendly expression. There were two maids following behind the old woman, and their expressions were not good. "Well, you must have mistaken me for someone else, right?" Yin Chujio said. The old woman immediately said angrily, "Miss Jio, do you think we are blind? Hurry and go back with us, or else the old madam will blame us, and we will be punished together with you." "I really don't." "Chuyue Dongxue, please return to the residence, Miss Jio." The old woman did not listen to Yin Chujio's explanation at all, and directly let the two maids carry Yin Chujio forward on her left and right. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 6108. Luxury. Before Yin Chujio could brush Xiaomo off, she heard Qing Mama grumble, "Miss Jio, what are you waiting for? Go in and apologize to the old madam. We have been unlucky enough to follow a master like you for 8 lifetimes. There are no benefits for us. It's common for us to be punished." Qing Mama winked at the two handmaidens. Qiu Yu and Dong Shui immediately carried He Xinjiu to the side door. He Xinjiu felt a little complicated. She had not enjoyed the benefits of being an imposter, but she had to take the blame for someone else. After entering the Tian residence, Yin Chujio was blinded by the grandeur and luxury inside. Although she did not know what was good for her, she could not resist the Shimo inside the spirit beast bag. The gatehouse is actually built with gold and heavy wood. It's really a waste of money. It's already good enough for an ordinary demon to have a piece of furniture made of gold and heavy wood. The rock of this rockery is actually Mirage Cloud Stone. What a waste. This Mirage Cloud Stone is a good thing to make an inkstone, but it's actually used to make a rockery. The flower bed over there is planted with golden peony. Such a good herb is actually used to decorate the courtyard. It's really too extravagant. Although Yin Chujio had never heard of these things mentioned by Shimo, one thing she could hear was that this Tian residence was not just an ordinary rich house. As expected of the leader of the 6 great demon clans, the Heavenly Demon Clan was not to be underestimated. Yin Chujio was carried by Qiuyu and Dong Shui through 2 courtyards before she arrived at the rear residence. Qing Mama lowered her voice and said, "When you see the old madam later, you will obediently admit your mistake. After all, she is your biological grandmother. If the old madam is soft-hearted, she might be lenient and give you fewer lashes. If you are as stubborn as before, not only will you be whipped, but you will also be punished to kneel in the demonic hall for a few days." Yin Chujio immediately felt terrible. She thought that the so-called punishment was to lock her in the courtyard and not allow her to go out. Yet she still had to be whipped. She still had to kneel for a few days? Well, I will seriously tell you again. I am really not the 9th miss. You have mistaken me for someone else. You'd better hurry up and find the real 9th miss. Otherwise, it won't be good if she's in danger, Yin Chujio said sincerely. Qing Mama sneered. 9th miss don't play tricks. You'd better go and apologize to the old madam. Otherwise, it won't be a matter of a few lashes. You might be sent to the magic crystal mine directly. Yin Chujio wanted to cry, but no tears came out. If she had known it would be like this, she would have changed her appearance when she noticed the eyes of the city gate guards. She was really careless. Now that she had arrived at the Tian residence, it was impossible to escape. When she came in just now, she saw several groups of patrolling guards, so she could only force herself to continue acting. Thinking of this, Yin Chujio laughed dryly. Qing Mama, I was just joking to ease my nervousness. The old woman and the 2 maids looked at her strangely. They were puzzled. This 9th young miss had always been a stubborn blockhead, but now she was actually joking? Could it be that she had become enlightened? Yin Chujio naturally noticed their eyes, but she didn't care. After all, they were sure that she was the so-called 9th young miss. Even if her personality was different, they wouldn't doubt her identity. Right now, the most important thing was how to avoid being punished. She didn't want to be whipped as soon as she arrived at the demon continent. Unfortunately, she had no idea about the situation of the old madam and the so-called 9th miss, so she could only respond to their moves. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 6109 In She'll Beat You to Death, You Vile Creature. Yin Chujio was escorted to an elegant courtyard by Qing Mama. The moment she entered the courtyard, Qing Mama changed her bossy attitude towards Yin Chujio and behaved like an old quail. Qiuyu and Dong Shui kept quiet in fear and did not dare to say another word. Yin Chujio thought to herself, it seems that this so-called old madam has accumulated a lot of power. Otherwise, Qing Mama and the other 2 would not be so afraid. The 4 of them arrived at the door. Qing Mama's old face was smiling like a chrysanthemum as she said to the 2 maids at the door, "You'll have to trouble the 2 ladies to help pass the message. Tell them that this old servant has found the 9th miss." One of the maids looked at Yin Chujio with a slightly contemptuous gaze. Then, she opened the curtain and went in to pass the message. A moment later, the maid walked out and said indifferently, "The old madam asked you and the 9th miss to go in. The 2 of them don't have to follow. They just have to wait outside to be punished." Qiuyue and Dong Shui's faces instantly turned pale, but they knew that they had no choice. Whenever Miss Jiu caused trouble, they had to be punished as well. Yin Chujio felt the two resentful gazes behind her and complained in her heart. She was the one who had bad luck, okay? Qing Mama thanked the maid and glanced at Yin Chujio. Yin Chujio knew that she was urging her to go in. She could only bite the bullet and walk in front while Qing Mama followed behind her. Yin Chujio glanced around and saw an old lady sitting on the seat with a gloomy face. The way she looked at her was almost like she was looking at something dirty. Clang! A teacup smashed towards Yin Chujio's face. Yin Chujio had a thought. If she dodged, this old lady would be even angrier. But if she didn't dodge, it would hurt her face. Hence, this fellow took the opportunity to kneel down. The teacup flew over her and landed right on Qing Mama's face behind her. Qing Mama, who was dizzy from the impact. Old Lady Tian was also stunned, but she could not find any fault with it. She could only say angrily, "You still have the face to come back. How could our Tian family produce such a useless thing like you? It's fine if you can't cultivate demonic qi, but you actually shamelessly seduced the second prince. That's your cousin Rulu's fiancé. Why don't you look in the mirror and see your ugly appearance? Is the second prince something that a good-for-nothing like you can dream of? What a toad wants to eat swan meat. After being exposed by Rulu, you actually dared to run away from home. What a disgrace. I'll beat you to death today, you vile spawn, to avoid bringing shame to our Tian family. Do Mama please punish this vile spawn, beat her to death for me." Hei Xinjiu was dumbfounded. How was this a matter of a few lashes? She was going to beat her to death. If she said that she was an imposter now, would this vicious old lady believe it? She definitely wouldn't believe it. Hearing this old lady call him trash and ugliness, she was afraid that her previous flattery would be useless. What should she do? Seeing that Du Mama had returned with a tray with a long red whip on it, it was unknown what material the whip was made of. It looked very frightening. If this whip was to be lashed on her body, just thinking about it would be very satisfying. However, this vicious old lady might not really want her life. If she wanted to kill her, she did not need to specifically capture her. Wouldn't it be more convenient to just kill her quietly outside? Even so, she did not want to be lashed. Her lowered eyes flashed. She had it. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 6110 The Miserable Xiaomo. Yin Chujio suddenly raised her head with a face full of regret and determination. Grandmother, I have committed a grave sin. I don't need you to do anything. I will kill myself now so that I don't embarrass the Tian family again. As Yin Chujio spoke, she took out a dagger and aimed it at her abdomen. Her clothes were immediately dyed red with blood, which gave old lady Tian a fright. Yin Chujio raised the dagger again and made a gesture to stab down. Old lady Tian slammed the table. Enough! You're really trying to anger me to death. You're a jinx. Why didn't you die back then? Why did my poor hunger die? Get lost. Get lost. Stay in the courtyard and never come out again. Yin Chujio did not have the time to think about the huge amount of information in old lady Tian's words. She said weakly, "Yes, granddaughter, as you command." After saying that, Yin Chujio staggered to her feet and fainted in Qing Mama. Confused, Qing Mama had no choice but to carry her out of the house. Hei Xinjiu cursed in her heart. If it were not for the fact that she cleverly used the trick of suffering, this vicious old lady would definitely have suffered a lot. Xiaomo, who was in the spiritual beast bag, was holding the wound on his arm and pulling on it. The trick of suffering. It was clearly his blood, all right. What kind of sin had he committed to meet such a black-hearted little pervert? Yin Chujio was supported to a small courtyard. Although the area was not big, and the decorations were a little shabby, the place was very clean. It seemed that although the three of them were not very respectful to her, and there was some resentment and disdain, they were at least diligent. Yin Chujio was placed on the bed. Just when Qing Mama was about to open Yin Chujio's clothes to check her wound, Yin Chujio woke up. Don't worry about me. Go out. Qing Mama left without any hesitation. Yin Chujio could not help but sigh. It seemed that the original ninth miss was not very popular. However, it was better this way so that she would not be exposed. Although she had only entered the residence for a short while, she could imagine why the ninth young miss had run away from home. She could not cultivate demonic chi. The servants were disloyal. The elders did not like her. And she was accused of seducing her cousin's fiancé. If she did not leave, would she still stay for the new year? However, according to Ching Mama, the original owner was introverted and stubborn. How could she do something like seducing her cousin's fiancé? There might be something else going on here. Just as she was thinking, Ching Mama's fawning voice sounded from outside. Miss Lu, please come in. Yun Chujio frowned and closed her eyes to pretend to be asleep. Miss Jio, miss. Ching Mama shouted loudly, deliberately trying to wake Yun Chujio up. Yun Chujio opened her eyes and saw a girl in white standing in front of the bed with a concerned look. Ching Mama moved a chair over and said, Miss Lu, please have a seat. After Tian Rulu sat down, Chun Xiao, the maid standing behind her, smiled and said, Ching Mama, let's go out and let the two masters talk properly. Ching Mama did not even look at Yun Chujio and followed Chun Xiao out. Yun Chujio could not help but feel speechless. This Ching Mama really did not put the original owner in her eyes at all. After Chun Xiao and Ching Mama left, Tian Rulu stared at Yun Chujio for a long time, and then said with a smile, Sister Jio, do you still remember when we fell into the lotus pond when we were young? Yun Chujio was shocked. Did Tian Rulu suspect that she was a fake? If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 6111 was a complete blackout. Yun Chujio quickly calculated all the possibilities in her mind. Was she faking it? Treating the symptoms but not the root of the problem could not dispel Tian Rulu's suspicion. Then she had to give a correct answer. According to the difference in their statuses in the mansion, it was not strange for her to fall into the lotus pond. But how could Tian Rulu fall into it as well? It was either to frame her, or to show her good reputation of sacrificing herself to save others. In any case, there must be a conspiracy behind this. Therefore, Yun Chujio revealed a mocking expression. Don't you know clearly what happened back then? I am not as smart as you, but I will not be stupid forever. Tian Rulu was not angry after hearing Yun Chujio's words. She said lightly, it doesn't matter if you are stupid or smart. If you want to live well, you should know what to say and what not to say. If not, you might not be so lucky to save your life next time. Yun Chujio was shocked. Why did she listen to Tian Rulu's words? Did she send someone to kill the original ninth miss? And it seemed that she succeeded. Otherwise, she would not have come to probe. However, she did not know if the original ninth miss was dead or escaped. She also did not know what the original owner knew, that Tian Rulu would actually send people to kill her. Could it be that the so-called seducing of the second prince was just to find an excuse to kill her? Yun Chujio's heart was in turmoil, but she said coldly on the surface, don't worry. After this experience, I feel that nothing is more important than being alive. I won't say anything. Tian Rulu nodded. It's good that you know. We are cousins after all. I don't want you to reunite with your parents at such a young age. After saying that, Tian Rulu stood up and walked away. When she reached the door, she raised her voice. Sister Jio, you should recuperate well. I'll come and see you in a few days. Yun Chujio snorted coldly and didn't say anything. Thank you, Sister Jio. Ching Mama's attentive voice came from outside the house. It seemed that she had received some rewards and kept thanking her. After a while, Ching Mama pushed the door open and came in. Her old face was smiling like a chrysanthemum. Miss Jio, it's not that I want to say too much, but Miss Rulu really has nothing to say to your cousin. Not only did she not hate you, but she even forgot about the past and came to visit you. You can't do anything to let Miss Rulu down in the future. Yun Chujio rolled her eyes in her heart, but on the surface she agreed. And you're right. I'll thank her properly in the future. I'm sleepy. You can leave now. Ching Mama pouted and twisted her old waist as she left. Yun Chujio could not help but have a headache. Should she think of a way to escape? At this moment Xiaomo, who was in the spirit beast pouch, said, "Little girl, it seems that you really did not lie to me. Since there is a second prince, then there must be a devil emperor. I just don't know if he is the real devil emperor. You can stay in the Tian family. Although you are not favored, you might have the chance to meet the devil emperor." What you said is easy. You heard it too. This so-called ninth young lad's parents are all choked up. That old lady Tian hates her to the extreme. Also, that Tian Rulu just now also wants to kill her. Should I stay and wait for death? She did not think that Tian Rulu would really let her off like she said. She would definitely find an opportunity to silence her, because only a dead person could keep a secret. Most importantly, she knew nothing about the original owner and the Tian family's situation. She was completely blind. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 61:12. You can stay or not, but if you want to find that Shui Wuji and your lover, staying in the Tian residence is the best choice. After all, the identity of the heavenly demon race is more useful than anything else. Xiaomo snorted coldly. He had also learned to be smart, and knew to start from the things that Yun Chujio cared about. Yun Chujio thought about it, and it made sense. If she wanted to find information about Shui Wuji and Di Baiming, she had to first establish a foothold in the demon race continent. The Tian family was a good stepping stone. However, the information she knew was too limited. She had to find a way to get some information out of them. Meng Yanshou had spent a lot of energy to fabricate the dream realm for her. Although she still had some energy left, she didn't want to use it unless it was absolutely necessary. It seemed that Qing Mama was greedy. As long as she gave her some benefits, she should be able to get the information out easily. Unfortunately, she did not have any demon crystals with her. Xiaomo, that poor devil, did not have anything at all. What should she do? Forget it. No matter what, she should use words to coax her first. Perhaps she could get some information out of her. Yun Chujio was about to call Qing Mama in to get the information. But when she found out that Qing Mama had gone out for a stroll, she was completely speechless. It was not until evening that Qing Mama returned. Yun Chujio was about to call her in to ask for more information, but she heard a commotion outside, as if something big had happened. Logically speaking, a big family like the Tian residence, which had strict rules, would definitely not be so noisy if something big had not happened. What exactly had happened? Yun Chujio was now seriously injured. Although she was very curious, it was not good for her to go out and watch the show. Fortunately, she soon heard the shouts of Qing Mama and the others. Look, it's Kaiwan. Miss Ru Lu is indeed a proud daughter of heaven. When she broke through, she could actually attract Kaiwan's abnormal phenomenon. Although it's not the real Kaiwan, it's still rare in this world. Miss Ru Lu is the pride of our Tian family. She's much stronger than the one in the room. TCH, not only is she much stronger, she's thousands of times stronger. She can't even cultivate devil chi. She can only rely on the spirit stones left by her mother to cultivate. She's so stingy. If she had given up some of them to exchange for devil crystals, she wouldn't have been in such a dire situation. Even we would have suffered along with her. Sai, let's not talk about it anymore. It's our bad luck to have such a master. We didn't get any benefits, but we still have to suffer. We're really unlucky. Yun Chujio's heart skipped a beat. It seemed like the original owner's mother was most likely a human. Otherwise, she wouldn't have left behind spirit stones. And the original owner wouldn't have been unable to cultivate devil chi. The original owner's identity was practically tailor-made for her. After disguising herself, she was actually cheated. She didn't know if her luck was good or bad. She just didn't know if the original owner was dead or alive. After all, she had borrowed her identity, so she still owed her a favor. If she died, she would help her take revenge. If she was still alive, she would have to repay her in the future when she found her. However, since the original owner had the spirit stones left by her mother, she could solve her current predicament. She could ask Qing Mama to exchange her spirit stones for magic crystals. Firstly, she would have more money, and secondly, she could use them to bribe Qing Mama. As for Tian Rulu, and what secret the original owner had discovered, she would have to figure it out slowly. No matter how weak she was still the young miss of the Tian residence. Even if Tian Rulu wanted to attack, she had to have some scruples. Otherwise, she wouldn't have plotted such a scheme and forced the original owner out of the Tian family before making a move. Just as Yin Chujio was thinking about it, she heard a commotion outside, and it seemed to be even more chaotic than before. Then she heard the ear-piercing shriek of Qing Mama. "Mother, why is Kaiwan flying towards us?" If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 61:14. Tian Rulu gritted her teeth and gathered the demonic chi in her right hand before extending it towards Kaiwan. The Kaiwan hesitated for a moment before flapping its wings and flying towards Tian Rulu's hand. It seemed like it wanted to land in her hand. Tian Rulu was so excited that her hand was trembling. If Kaiwan really landed in her hand, it would be much stronger than just summoning Kaiwan. When she thought of everyone's envious eyes and admiring words, Tian Rulu looked at Kaiwan even more fervently. At this moment, with a creak, the door was opened from the inside. A pale-faced little girl walked out with a wooden stick. "Aya, where did this big pheasant come from?" "Everyone, are you blind? This is a wild chicken. This is Kaiwan, okay?" Tian Rulu was naturally very angry, but her eyes were all on that Kaiwan, so she naturally didn't want to cause any trouble. Thus, she still looked at that Kaiwan expectantly. Who would have thought that Kaiwan would actually turn around and fly towards the direction of the house door, without any hesitation? Tian Rulu simply couldn't believe her eyes. In a panic, she once again condensed devil chi on her right hand. However, Kaiwan did not even turn her head and flew towards Yin Chujio. Everyone was shocked. Everyone in the imperial city knew that the ninth miss of the Tian family was born unable to cultivate devil chi and was ignorant. Otherwise, she would not have treated Kaiwan as a pheasant. Then the question was, why did Kaiwan fly towards her? Could it be that the pearl was covered in dust? In reality, the ninth miss of the Tian family was a genius. The first prince and the third prince immediately felt at ease. They looked at Yin Chujio with a hint of evaluation in their eyes. If Kaiwan really chose her, then perhaps marrying her would be a good choice. Yin Chujio was somewhat dumbfounded. The reason why she came out was firstly to disrupt Tian Rulu's good deed, and secondly, to obtain more information. Moreover, she had to come out to brush her face and let everyone remember that the Tian family still had a ninth miss, so that she could act in the future. But why was this wild chicken flying towards her? It was not that Hei Shinjio did not know the goods. It was mainly because this fellow had seen the five-colored phoenix, and had also seen the black phoenix, Xiao Hanio. In her eyes, this Kaiwan was really no different from a wild chicken. Moreover, Kaiwan was just an illusion. She could not see anything strange about it. However, if Kaiwan chose her, it would be a good thing. At least, it could improve her treatment in the Tian family. Thinking of this, Hei Shinjio found Kaiwan much more pleasing to the eye. She said with a smile, "Big pheasant, come to sister." This fellow couldn't help but sigh in his heart. It seemed that this devil race continent was indeed her blessed land. Not only did she pick up the identity of ninth miss, but this big pheasant even took the initiative to come to her side. Finally, her luck had turned. Just when this fellow was feeling happy, a trace of resentment flashed in the eyes of the Kaiwan. Its entire body turned into a cluster of black flames and rushed towards Yin Chujio. Even in her dreams, Hei Shinjio did not expect Kaiwan to do such a thing. In addition, her cultivation had been suppressed quite a bit. It was definitely too late for her to completely avoid it. Although she could activate the spirit weapon's protection, she was afraid of giving herself away, so she could only activate the spirit energy barrier and throw the wooden stick to the ground. Even so, her hair was still burned. Hei Shinjio had no choice but to roll on the ground. As she rolled on the ground, she rejoiced in her heart. Fortunately, she was now a shriveled bean sprout. If she had a front, a bulge, a back, and a curvy body, her butt might have been burned. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 61:16 Who exactly are you? Tian Shifeng's old eyes flashed with a bright light as he laughed loudly. What little girl Ruhua said makes sense. Kaiwan must have liked her too much and was unable to express herself for a moment. That's why she ended up like this. If she was really angry, it wouldn't be as simple as burning Ruhua's hair. Moreover, Kaiwan specially flew to this courtyard, which shows that it really likes Ruhua. Yin Chujio. Who is Ruhua? Who is she? Who is she? Her heart was like 10,000 divine beasts whizzing past. Don't tell her that her current identity was called Tian Ruhua. Tian Rulu didn't expect Tian Shefeng to actually speak up for Yin Chujio. She immediately said with a disapproving expression, "Grandfather, that Kaiwan clearly. Rulu, you've just broken through. Quickly go back and stabilize your realm." Your Highness, everyone, we haven't had enough fun just now. Let's go back to the front yard and continue drinking. Kaiwan's appearance is His Majesty's blessing, and the blessings of all living beings. We must get drunk today. When Tian Shefeng said these words, he gave Tian Rulu a warning glance. Tian Rulu did not dare to speak anymore, even though she was extremely unwilling in her heart. The three princes and the other family heads chatted for a while before leaving with Tian Shefeng. When Tian Rulu saw them leave, she immediately said to old Madame Tian with tears in her eyes, "Grandmother, I originally wanted to invite Kaiwan to bring glory to our Tian family. Who would have thought that?" Old Madame Tian immediately glared at Hei Shinjio. "You vile spawn. I don't believe what you said just now. You're a jinx. If you hadn't called Kaiwan a wild chicken, Kaiwan would have flown into the hands of Kaiwan. You really can't bear to see Kaiwan. You were coveting her fiancé before, and now you're meddling in her good deeds. I must teach you a lesson today. Do mama, get me the family law. I must beat this vile spawn to death today." Yin Chujio was still immersed in the nightmare of Tian Ruhua's name. When she heard old lady Tian's words, she sighed. "Grandmother, what I said is true. If I lie, why would grandfather agree with me? You are an elder, do as you say. However, if you beat me to death and cripple me, His Majesty will summon me, the fated person of Kaiwan, on a whim. Then it will not be easy for you to end things." Old lady Tian's face was livid. "Are you threatening me? I wouldn't dare. I'm just telling the truth. Anyway, I only have this wretched life. If you want it, then take it. I've lived enough anyway. Why don't I stab myself again? So as not to dirty your whip?" Yin Chujio took out a dagger as she spoke, and made a gesture to stab her own abdomen. Old lady Tian was so angry that she was twitching. Good. You're AJ. You're really pissing me off. Just you wait. If the Emperor summons you, it's fine. Otherwise, HMPH. After saying that, old lady Tian left in a huff. She did not even have the mood to comfort Tian Rulu, who was still drenched in tears. Sha Mo, who was in the spirit beast pouch, let out a long breath. He was on the verge of bleeding again. Tian Rulu did not expect Yin Chujio to dismiss old lady Tian with just a few words. She said to Yin Chujio with a gloomy face, "Sister Jio, let's talk inside the house." Yin Chujio did not object. She picked up the wooden stick on the ground and staggered back into the house. Ching Mama and the others tactfully did not enter the house. Tian Rulu naturally did not have any scruples. She stared at Yin Chujio. "If you are not Tian Ruhua, then who are you? If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report so we can fix it as soon as possible." Chapter 61:17 Originally, Tian Rulu had already dispelled some of her suspicions, but the incident that had just happened made her suspicious again. Tian Ruhua's character which had originally been completely useless, had suddenly become so sharp-tongued? Moreover, the person who had been sent to assassinate Tian Ruhua had reported that after confirming that Tian Ruhua had breathed her last, she had been thrown into the magical beast forest. How could she have come back all of a sudden? This Tian Ruhua must be a fake. Yin Chujio bared her little white teeth and said in a somewhat sinister manner, "You are right. I am not Tian Ruhua. The previous Tian Ruhua is already dead. From now on, the one who is still alive is Wu Chang, who wants to take your life. Tian Rulu, Tian Dao is good at reincarnation. I will return everything you did to me to you one by one." Tian Rulu was frightened by her cold tone and took 2 steps back. She immediately reacted and said with a cold smile, "Tian Ruhua, I didn't expect you to be a dog that doesn't bark. You want to fight with me? Good, very good, just you wait." She was just a good-for-nothing who didn't have anything to rely on, yet she still wanted to seek revenge on her? What wishful thinking! However, she also dispelled her suspicions towards Yin Chujio. She thought that she had hidden her true nature in the past, but now, she had finally exposed herself. This was exactly what Yin Chujio wanted. As for the revenge of Tian Rulu and the second prince, she would just have to deal with it as it came. Seeing that Tian Rulu had left in a huff, Qing Mama sighed and entered the house. "Miss Jio, it's not that I want to say too much. You shouldn't have left the house today, and you shouldn't have gone against Miss Rulu. You've even offended the old lady. How are we going to live in the future?" Yin Chujio narrowed her eyes. She had plenty of ways to deal with this kind of unruly slave. However, her footing was not stable now, so it was better to temporarily win her over. Hence, Yin Chujio sighed. "Qing Mama, I also regret it. If I had known that this would happen, I wouldn't have left the house no matter what. However, who would have known that Kai Luan had landed in our courtyard?" Qing Mama also felt very strange in her heart. Why did Kai Luan fly into their courtyard all of a sudden? Could it really be because she liked this good-for-nothing Miss Jio? "Qing Mama, after this matter, I finally understand something. In this family, only you are the most reliable. Although we are called master and servant, in the bottom of my heart, I treat you as an elder. It's just that I was blinded by my heart and couldn't express it. I've disappointed you," Yin Chujio said while wiping away her tears. Looking at Yin Chujio's dirty little face filled with tears, Qing Mama felt a rare sense of compassion. "Miss Jio, you're still injured. Don't cry. There's always a way out. You'll get through it eventually." Yin Chujio grabbed Qing Mama's hand. "Mama, you're the best to me. You've seen my situation in this manner. From now on, I don't ask for anything else. I just want to live. Mama, you're well informed. I'll be relying on you in the future." Hearing Yin Chujio's words, Qing Mama suddenly felt that her body had grown taller. She immediately said, "Miss Jio, don't worry. I'll do my best to serve you in the future." Yin Chujio knew that this old woman was just being soft-hearted for a moment. In the future, she would do what she always did. She had to give her something in return. "Granny, think of a way to exchange these spiritual stones for magic crystals. Just give me half of them. You can keep the rest for me. You can just pay for your daily expenses from the inside. Tell me if you don't need them anymore. I've thought it through now. It's useless to keep those spiritual stones. It's better to let us relax." Chapter 61:18 The mask was gone. Qing Mama's old face immediately smiled like a chrysanthemum. "Ninth Miss, you're right. It's not that my words are unpleasant, but the spiritual energy in our demon continent is scarce. No matter how hard you try to cultivate your spiritual energy, you won't make much progress." Yin Chujio handed the spiritual stone to Qing Mama while sighing. "Mama, you're right. I've been too muddle-headed in the past. I hope you can teach me more in the future." Qing Mama saw that Yin Chujio kept calling her Mama, and her face was full of trust. Most importantly, the spirit stone in her hand was genuine. The smile on her face immediately became more genuine. Yin Chujio held Qing Mama's hand again. Qing Mama was shocked. She thought that Yin Chujio wanted the spirit stone back, so she quickly put the spirit stone into her storage ring. Yin Chujio couldn't help but laugh. This Qing Mama was even more greedy than her. Mama, I'm scared today. Can you talk to me after dinner? Yin Shujio asked sincerely. Qing Mama immediately agreed. After dinner, she took a chair and sat by the bed to talk to Yin Shujio. Yin Shujio started to talk to Yin Shujio silently. Finally, she learned something about Tian Ruhua. Tian Ruhua's mother, Ji Xiaoyan, was a human being and had a very low status in the demon continent. However, Tian Ruhua's father, Tian Hanhong, fell in love with Ji Xiaoyan at first sight. He would marry her no matter what. The old lady tried her best to stop them but failed. In the end, she let them get married. They thought that the bitter would come to an end. However, when the three of them went out to play, they were attacked by demon beasts. Tian Hanhong lost his life to protect Tian Ruhua and her daughter. Although Ji Xiaoyan saved her life, she was unable to recover from the pain of losing her husband. After spending a year in bed, she also passed away. Old Lady Tian thought that Tian Ruhua was the nemesis of her parents, so she naturally did not treat her well. In addition, she could not cultivate the demonic qi, so her situation became worse. As for why the Tian family called Tian Rulu, and the others Miss Rulu and Miss Rushuang, but called Tian Ruhua Jiu Miss, the reason was very simple. They felt that Tian Ruhua's appearance did not match the word Ruhua. Yin Shujio. I thank you. I thank you from the bottom of my heart. Yin Shujio was afraid of arousing the suspicion of Qing Mama, so she did not dare to ask too much for a moment. She simply found an excuse to dismiss Qing Mama. After Qing Mama left, Yin Shujio looked at the bronze mirror and scolded in a low voice. Damn it! That damn pheasant actually dared to burn my hair. If I see its real body, I will definitely turn it into a bald chicken. Xiaomo said with some schadenfreude. Little girl, it's not that I want to criticize you, but you also deserve it. Who told you to call Kailuan a big pheasant? Yin Shujio snorted coldly. If it's not like this, do you think that a poor little girl like me has the chance to make a name for herself? Do you have the chance to enter the palace to meet the emperor? Don't you want to see the demon emperor? Xiaomo immediately changed his words. I was just casually saying. You are right. That is not Kailuan but a big pheasant. The others are all blind. Yin Shujio curled her lips. Just as she was about to ridicule him, she heard Xiaomo's heart-wrenching roar. Where's the mask? Where's the devil emperor's mask? Who stole the mask? Yin Shujio was startled and quickly used her spiritual sense to probe into the spirit beast pouch. She saw Xiaomo's eyes were red as he was rummaging around. Smelly girl, did you hide His Majesty's mask? Chapter 61:19. The drifter reappeared. Yin Shujio said unhappily. Why would I hide it for no reason? Besides, don't you stare at the mask all day long? How did you lose it all of a sudden? Could it be that the thief is calling for the thief? Xiaomo was so angry that he was trembling. If I could put the mask away, I would have put it away long ago. Why would I wait for now? Are you trying to use the mask to blackmail me? So you hid the mask? Yin Shujio pouted. I have plenty of ways to threaten you. Why would I use that broken mask for no reason? Alright, when did the mask disappear? Xiaomo was dumbfounded by this question. Although he valued the mask very much, and he kept a close eye on it at the beginning, as time went by, he felt that it was very safe in the spiritual beast bag. So he paid his respects to it sooner or later. He did not pay too much attention to it in the middle. Just now, when he was about to pay his respects, he realized that the mask was gone. As for when it was gone, he really didn't pay attention to it. Yin Shujio asked Buttface and the others, do you have any clues? The silly cuties shook their heads one after another. They weren't that old fool. Xiaomo who would stare at a broken mask for no reason. Only the red shadow rabbit in the corner had a twinkle in its eyes. Others didn't pay attention to it, but he saw it. Just as the little devil's hair was burning, the mask disappeared. However, he did not plan to tell Yin Shujio. He was very sad that the Divine Devil Temple had been destroyed, but when he heard that the higher-ups of the Divine Devil Temple had all died because of the spiritual imprint, he felt a little sad. He did not know whether he was angry or grateful towards Yin Shujio. She had imprisoned him here without any dignity, but if it were not for her, he might have also died because of the spiritual imprint. At that moment, he did not know how to face Yin Chujio, so he temporarily decided to watch coldly from the sidelines. Yin Chujio and Sha Emo searched the spiritual beast bag thoroughly, but they could not find the red mask. Yin Chujio said to Sha Emo, who looked like he had nothing left to live for, "That red mask is very strange. Previously, when we were in the desert, it would sneak away by itself. Maybe this time, it went somewhere to play and will come back in 2 days." Shamo's face was full of tears. "I'm sorry to His Majesty the Demon Emperor. I'm really useless. I'm just a good-for-nothing." Seeing that he would not stop, Yin Chujio had no choice but to coax him. Maybe that Demon Emperor is real, so the mask went to look for him. Shamo's crying stopped abruptly. "What you said makes sense. It must be so. Quickly think of a way to enter the palace. I want to confirm it." Yin Chujio comforted him perfunctorily, and Sha Emo finally stopped crying. After all this, it was already late at night. Yin Chujio pondered for a while about what had happened today, and soon fell asleep. As soon as she fell asleep, wisps of red mist drifted out from between her brows. It was the drifters who had disappeared for a long time. The drifters were very smug in the bedroom. They made a mess of the things in the bedroom, and even lifted Hei Shinjio up, and threw her on the ground. What was strange was that no one, including Hei Shinjio or Qing Mama, and the others in the side room, noticed the disturbance. The 3 foodies in Yin Chujio's Dantian noticed it, but they didn't do anything and didn't wake Hei Shinjio up. The red drifters struggled for a while. When the sky was about to brighten, they hid between Yin Chujio's brows again, leaving only a mess. When Yin Chujio opened her eyes, she was completely dumbfounded. Chapter 61:20 Goebatsao snitch. Yin Chujio looked at the mess in the house with her mouth agape, then looked at the bed not far away. What was going on? Could it be that she was sleepwalking? She did not have such a problem. However, how could Qing Mama and the others not notice such a big commotion? At this time, Qiuyue and Dong Shui knocked on the door and came in to serve. When they saw the situation in front of them, they were also dumbfounded. "Ninth Miss, what happened to you?" They were puzzled. This ninth miss had a long temper. She actually imitated other masters and started to smash things. However, why didn't they hear any movement? Could it be that she was sleeping too hard? Upon hearing the movement, Qing Mama also ran over. Just as she was about to teach Yin Chujio a lesson, she thought of the spiritual stones that she had gotten yesterday and said to Qiuyue and Dong Shui in a bad mood, "What are you still standing there for? Hurry up and help Miss Jio up. First, help Miss Jio to my room to rest. After breakfast, you guys clean up this place." Qiuyu and Dong Shui had always listened to Qing Mama's words. They immediately helped Yin Chujio to Qing Mama's room. After breakfast, Qing Mama sent Qiuyu and Dong Shui away and asked with concern, "Miss Jio, even if you are unhappy, don't vent your anger on something. It doesn't matter if the thing is destroyed, but what will happen if your injury worsens?" Yin Chujio's heart was filled with bitterness, but she couldn't explain anything, so she could only answer vaguely. Qing Mama asked a few more questions, and then hurried out. Without asking, Yin Chujio knew that Qing Mama must have gone to exchange for magic crystals. As soon as Qing Mama left, Hei Shinjio asked Duming, who was in the spirit beast bag, what had happened last night. Duming was at a loss. In an instant, they had lost contact with Yin Chujio's spiritual sense, so they had no idea what had happened. Yin Chujio was even more confused. Why did she have the habit of sleepwalking on the demon continent? After Qiuyu and Dong Shui tidied up the house, they helped Yin Chujio back to her own house. The Goei Batsao and her Dantian kept begging for food. Yin Chujio said unhappily, "Eat, eat, eat. All you know is to eat." Goei Batsao tried its best to show that it wanted control of the body. Hei Shinjio did not know what it wanted to do, so she gave it control of the body. Goei Batsao waved its arms a few times and said excitedly, "I heard that the medicinal pills of the demon race taste pretty good. Think of a way to get more so that you can nourish me properly. I lost half my life for you previously. If you don't treat me properly, will you be able to live up to your own conscience?" Yin Chujio snorted coldly, "Nourish me pro pearl." Did I not nourish you enough in the past year? You ate more medicinal herbs than Dahua. That good for nothing. Previously, Goei Bakao's vitality had been greatly damaged. Yun Chujio had collected many high-grade herbs and pills to feed it. Finally, it had almost fully recovered. Goei Batsao said embarrassedly, I am still young and still growing. Naturally, I have eaten more. As long as you give me some demon pills to eat in the future, I will tell you a secret. Okay, go ahead. Yun Chujio agreed very quickly. Goei Batsao immediately gloated. It wasn't you who was sleepwalking last night. It was those drifters who did it. Goei Batsao was proud in its heart. It was killing two birds with one stone. Not only could it get the demon elixirs in exchange for fawning over the little girl, it could also secretly kill an opponent who was competing for the favor. Drifters? Yin Chujio was stunned. Those drifters hadn't come out to show off for a long time. Why did they suddenly start acting like demons again? He immediately said, It's nothing more than the second prince or Tian Rulu. They would love for you to die. Yun Chujio immediately snapped her fingers. That's right. These two idiots gave me a good opportunity to rise to the top. Even if I can't rise to the top, I can still stomp on them. Sha Emo felt that his brain was not enough. Why was he getting more and more confused as he listened? Yun Chujio did not explain to him. Instead, she held her chin and pondered. After a while, she called Qing Mama in. Mama, grandmother grounded me. I can't leave the courtyard. Think of a way to see grandfather. Tell him that I have something important to tell him. It's about Kailuan. Qing Mama's head was shaking like a rattledrum. Ninth miss, how can I simply ask to see the family head? If I'm not careful, it'll be punished. I won't go. Chapter 61:22, Should she hand it in, or not? Yun Chujio placed a pile of spirit stones on the table. Mama, you can take these spirit stones and arrange them. Only grandfather can save me now. Please be kind to me. Qing Mama hesitated for a moment and looked at the pile of shiny spirit stones. She gritted her teeth and said, Okay, I'll give it a try. She thought to herself that at worst, she would just be beaten up, and it would be worth it to exchange for these spirit stones. Qing Mama was considered an old veteran in the Tian estate, and she also had many servants who were on good terms with her. After she found out the time when Tian Shefeng would return to the estate, she waited in the front yard early. It was not until evening that Tian Shefeng returned to the Tian estate with a sullen face. Qing Mama used her courage to approach him, and the guard behind Tian Shefeng immediately scolded. How dare you? Don't you know the rules, old woman? Get lost. Qing Mama was so scared that her legs turned soft. However, she still gritted her teeth and said, Master, our ninth miss said that she has something important to tell you. Yes, it's about Kailuan. The guard was about to forcefully drag Qing Mama away when Tian Shefeng waved his hand. What did you say just now? Say it again. Qing Mama repeated it again and said, The ninth miss is grounded by the old lady. That's why she asked this old servant to pass on the message. Tian Shefeng narrowed his eyes. A moment later he said, Ask her to meet me in the study. Tian Shefeng left with the guard after saying that. Qing Mama wiped the cold sweat off her forehead and crawled back to meet He Xinjiu. She was stunned when she saw that He Xinjiu was fully dressed. Ninth miss, did you know that the master would meet you? Yin Chujio smiled brightly. I have confidence in your ability, Mama. I know that you will definitely succeed. Qing Mama was dazzled by Yin Chujio's smile. Oh my, why does this Miss Jiu smile so beautifully? Could it be that her old eyes had gone blurry? When Qing Mama came back to her senses, she had already helped Yin Chujio out of the courtyard. Not long after they walked out, they coincidentally met Tian Rulis maid Chun Xiao. Chun Xiao bowed to Yin Chujio. Just as she was about to speak, Qing Mama carried He Xinjiu and walked away like the wind. Qing Mama's thoughts were very simple. Since the master wanted to see Miss Jiu, it was better to hurry over. Chun Xiao's eyes flashed and hurriedly reported to Tian Rulu. Qing Mama helped Yin Chujio to Tian Shifeng's study, and then left. She prayed to the devil god for protection in her heart, hoping that Yin Chujio would not cause trouble. However, just as one of her feet crossed the threshold, she heard Hei Shinjio say, "Grandfather, hand me over. For the honor of our Tian residence, I will die without regrets." Bang! Qing Mama fell to the ground. Was this good-for-nothing Miss Jio crazy? The guards could not stand it, and dragged Qing Mama out of the courtyard like a dead dog. Tian Shefeng did not speak immediately after hearing Yin Chujia's words. He was not in a good mood today. Yesterday was supposed to be a day of showing his face, but it was because of this flower that the situation became out of control. Today, it was even more urgent and caused a storm in the city. Regardless of whether he handed her over or not, the result was not what he wanted to see. If he handed her over, the huge Tian family would not even be able to protect his own son. Wouldn't that be a joke? If he didn't hand it over, he would definitely become a weakness for the other families to attack the Tian family. After a moment of silence, Tian Shefeng coldly said, "Are you speaking the truth? Are you really willing to be handed over? Do you know what awaits you once you are handed over?" Chapter 61-24. How about I marry you? If it was in the past, Tian Shefeng would have been furious long ago. However, when he thought of the plan that Yin Chujio had just mentioned, he snorted coldly and called the commander of the Tian residence's guards, Lung Shirin. "Send Ruhua girl back. If Madam makes things difficult for her, just say that I asked her to come." Lung Shi immediately responded respectfully. He was puzzled in his heart. Why would the head of the family take such care of this good-for-nothing ninth miss? Hadn't he always ignored her before? Tian Shefeng glanced at Yin Chujio. "This is the only time. It won't happen again. You'd better take care of yourself." After thinking for a while, he added, "After this incident is settled, I will arrange a marriage for you. Don't go back to the Tian residence if you have nothing to do in the future." Yin Chujio. Was he planning to kick her out? In your dreams. Qing Mama was pacing around outside. When she saw that Yin Chujio had finally come out, she wanted to ask about the result immediately, but when she saw Lung Shi behind Yin Chujio, she could only swallow her words. "Mama, look how much grandfather dotes on me. Originally, he wanted to send me back personally, but I rejected him politely. He asked Lung Shi to send me back. I'm so touched." Lung Shi's eyes twitched, but he didn't say anything. How could Qing Mama know the twists and turns? She looked at Yin Chujio differently, and her attitude was much more respectful than before. Qing Mama supported Hei Shinjio, while Lung Shi followed behind. They could see Yin Chujio's courtyard from afar. Yin Chujio blinked her eyes. "Lung Shi, I heard that your guards are good at hiding. You should be good as a guard commander, right?" Lung Shi said expressionlessly, "Yes." "Then you should hide first. Come out when I call you," Hei Shinjio said with her eyes narrowed. "Miss Jio, I'm only responsible for sending you to the courtyard. As for the rest," Yin Chujio tugged at her clothes and said with a smile, "If you don't do it, they'll say that you molested me. Anyway, grandfather wants to marry me off. How about I marry you?" "Lung Shi, I'll hide." Lung Shi's figure flashed and disappeared, hiding in the dark. Qing Mama was puzzled. "Ninth miss, you, what do you want to do?" Yin Chujio curled her lips. "Do what?" "Of course, I want to use chicken feathers as a token, and use them to intimidate others." "Mama, my wound is a little painful, carry me." Qing Mama. For some reason, Qing Mama felt a chill on her back. She felt as if she had fallen into some big pit. Qing Mama hesitated for a moment, but she still carried Hei Shinjio and comforted herself. For the sake of the spirit stones, she would carry Hei Shinjio. As soon as the master and servant entered the courtyard, Du Mama, who was beside old lady Tian, said with a fake smile, "Ninth miss, old lady grounded you, but you ran out without permission. Old lady is very angry. The old lady asked me to whip you 100 times to let you learn your lesson. Come and receive your punishment." Qing Mama's legs went weak, and she almost fell to the ground. 100 lashes? This was clearly to kill ninth miss. Yin Chujio's eyes flashed. She had to teach this slave a good lesson and frame Tian Rulu at the same time. "Do Mama come here? I'll give you some good things," Yin Chujio said timidly. Du Mama curled her lips. She thought that Yun Chujio wanted to bribe her, so that she would be lenient. She didn't want to give it up for nothing, so she walked up to Yun Chujio. Slap. Slap. Yun Chujio slapped Du Mama hard twice. Du Mama's face immediately swelled into a pig's head. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report so we can fix it as soon as possible. You're tuning in to the Li Mei's Sword of Destiny YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.